61%. Chapter 241 Yi Shi Who Lacks Education. Under the sun, the wind and sand fill the sky, but the space on one side is not disturbed at all. In the center of the space is a stone monument 10 feet high, surrounded by 20 futons, on which people are sitting cross-legged, their eyes closed, comprehending something. Zhang Chushuan came here with 4 people stepping on space, and soon found Zhang Yanran, Chu Yun and others among the 20 futons. Seeing that they were still receiving the inheritance, the 4 stood quietly on the side, waiting silently. Comprehension is the most testing talent, and Zhang Yanran is obviously the most outstanding among everyone present, and he is the first to wake up from the inheritance. Grandpa. Opening his eyes, Zhang Yanran immediately found the 4 Zhang Chushuan not far away, stood up and tapped his toes, and his figure flashed. Good. Zhang Chushuan's eyes were full of appreciation and said, "It seems that you have gained a good harvest this time." I have comprehended a very good secret technique. Zhang Yanran nodded gently, his face not arrogant or impetuous. Grandpa, don't talk about me, have you mastered this secret realm now? 35 feet. Zhang Yanran looked at Zhang Chushuan with a curious face, but she heard Yan Xuanjian's voice just now. Zhang Chushuan nodded slightly, put his hands behind his back, and said softly, "It's mastered." Master, that's great. 35. At this time, Chu Yun and the others also completely accepted the inheritance, and their breath was a little stronger, and they happened to hear Zhang Chushuan and Zhang Yanran talking. It seems that you have obtained a good inheritance. Zhang Chushuan's slightly satisfied gaze swept over the 2. Thank you, Master. When Chu Yun and Han Li heard this, they bowed their heads and carried out the etiquette of their disciples. Chu Yun even spoke directly. Without Master, we can't get the inheritance here. He was right. Without Zhang Chushuan, their current cultivation would definitely not be enough to go to this secret realm, let alone inherit it. Okay, don't talk nonsense, let's go back to the Yanwang dynasty first. Zhang Chushuan bowed his head slightly and waved his hand casually. After I go back this time, I will give you some opportunities, and how much you can master depends on you. Upon hearing this, Chu Yun asked, did Master Zun obtain it from this secret realm? The feeling of space shattering before was also made by Master, right? It's me. Receiving a positive reply, Chu Yun showed a smug smile to Han Li and said, I'll just say it. I also know that Master Zun is powerful. Han Li couldn't help but argue. He just didn't like to talk much, and it wasn't that he didn't trust Zhang Chushuan's abilities. Okay, let's go back to the dynasty first. Devouring the temple to declare allegiance, I think there will be many changes within the dynasty. Originally, Zhang Chushuan had other plans, but now he temporarily decided to return to the Yanwang dynasty first. With Zhang Chushuan taking the lead, the group immediately set off and rode the Suzaku organ beast back to the Yanwang dynasty. As for this devouring steel, Zhang Chushuan will wait 7 days before collecting it. Grandpa, who is this sister? Along the way, Zhang Yanran asked Yan Xuanjian from time to time, and when he learned her identity, he was surprised in his heart. She never expected that this woman was actually the devouring saint venerable with great saint cultivation, and she was persuaded by Zhang Chushuan to join the Yanwang dynasty. However, after looking at Wu Yanxi's eyes that you understand, Zhang Yanran suddenly said, it seems that this persuasion is not the persuasion I understand. Yan Xuanjian's expression changed slightly, as if she was a little embarrassed. Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yanran and scolded with a smile. Besides, you are not allowed to go out for 3 months. Led by Zhang Chushuan, Yan Xuanjian followed everyone and returned to the Yanwang dynasty. Although a period of time has passed in the secret realm, the Yanwang dynasty has less than 3 days. Your Royal Highness, greetings to Wang Di. Facing the salute of the black dragon armor, Zhang Chushuan just nodded slightly and continued to walk forward with the group. Yan Xuanjian looked at the ever-changing scene around him. His face and expression did not change, but many thoughts appeared in his heart. This has just entered the scope of Yanwang King City, and the strength of the Janissaries is so strong, it is not at all like ordinary dynasties. At this moment, Yan Xuanjian became more curious about Zhang Chushuan and the Zhang family. What kind of family can create such a dynasty? Although the dynasty is still a 6th rank, the strength is the top among them. Without waiting for Yan Xuanjian to be surprised for a long time, 2 more people appeared in front of him. One person was wearing black armor, and the other was wearing vermilion armor, a man and a woman. The people who came were Wei Shu, the leader of the Black Dragon Armor Warrior, and Yi Wushang, the leader of the Xuaniao Guard. Seeing that they were about to salute again, Zhang Chushuan immediately waved his hand, looking indifferent. Don't be polite, Yi Shi can be in the palace. Back to the king's residence. The king is handling government affairs in the palace. 35. The king has already ordered, if it is the king's man, you can enter directly. Hearing this, the corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth twitched slightly. What a good wife. She really treats herself as a king. It seems that there is still a lack of education. However, he did not mean to blame the guard, nodded and said, I know, you continue to patrol. 95. Yes, Wang Di, His Royal Highness the Prince. Wei Shu and Yi Wushang left at the same time. After the two walked away, Yun Xuanjian finally couldn't help but be curious and asked out loud, this is the Yanwang dynasty. It seems that the strength base is much stronger than the 5-rank dynasty the first have seen. This is just the side you see. I haven't seen Zhao Yun and the others yet. Zhang Chushuan secretly thought in his heart, quite proud, but he did not show it on his face, but said with a smile, well, the dynasty needs strong guards, so I arrange them. After walking with Yun Xuanjian and the others for a while, and seeing that they were about to enter the palace, Zhang Chushuan turned around and said to Zhang Yanren and the others, you guys disperse first. 99. Master, is it first? Chu Yun and Han Li looked at Zhang Chushuan and subconsciously rubbed their hands. You two guys. Knowing that these two people were worried about the inheritance, Zhang Chushuan laughed out loud and said, well, I will hand it over to you when the time comes. Upon hearing this, everyone left one after another. When everyone left, Zhang Chushuan looked at the only remaining cloud and said, let's go. Yun Zan agreed obediently. Along the way, whether it was the palace guards or the attendants, they saw Zhang Chushuan and Yun Xuanjian both bowing down and saluting, and they all cast reverent glances. Not long ago, the two came to Yi Zai's dormitory palace. Wang Chao originally had a hall dedicated to handling government affairs, but Yi Shi liked to be in her own palace, which could make her heart more peaceful. Sensing the sound of footsteps, Yi Shi came back from government affairs and raised his head. Seeing that it was Zhang Chushuan, a warm smile immediately appeared on her originally cold face. Getting up and walking towards Zhang Chushuan, Yi Shi said, yo, the widow's king is here, come and sit down. Quote. He actually teased himself openly. This girl really still lacks education. However, considering the presence of Yun, Zhang Chushuan did not argue anything about this title. After the three of them sat down, Yi Shi set his eyes on Yun Xuanjian. This woman's posture is not weaker than me, even surpassed. Being able to be so good, Yi Shi had a guess about the identity of this woman in his heart. Isn't Wang Du going to introduce you? This Wang Zhen, with Yi Shi a little caution, seems to be swearing his sovereignty, but in fact, it is used to test Yun Xuanjian and observe the latter's expression. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan spoke upright. This is Yun Xuanchuan, you should have heard it just now, she is the devouring saint venerable, for the Terrans. Zhang Chushuan spoke eloquently and told Yun Xuanjian's deeds. The more Yi Shi listened, the more serious he became, and his phoenix eyes flashed brightly. She didn't expect that Yun Xuanjian would be so big. Not only that, but also very great. But what she cares about the most is Zhang Chushuan's sentence. By the way, it's also my woman's ear now. 35. The words of declaring sovereignty made Yi Shi understand the meaning of his royal man. It turned out to be devouring the holy venerable and looking up to the daimyo for a long time. Now I am just a remnant soul body. 35. Shaking his head, Yun Xuanjian smiled at the queen. My name is Yun Xuanjian, the king can call me that. Sister Yun is polite. Yi Shi is as good as a stream, directly known as a sister. After the two chatted casually and got closer to each other, Zhang Chushuan put down the teacup, looked at Yi Shi, and asked, have you completed the breakthrough? 61%. Chapter 242. The Land of One State. Be bold, I want the whole Lingzhou domain, subscription required. Well, after Sister Yun announced that the Devouring Temple had joined the Yanwang dynasty, my luck had increased significantly, and I broke through. A look of gratitude appeared on Yi Zai's face. This time, she was able to break through so perfectly, and it was all thanks to the Devouring Temple of Yun Xuanjian. In order to surprise you, I did not spread the news of the breakthrough. Yi Shi chuckled. Very pleasantly surprised indeed. Zhang Chushuan smiled slightly. Yi Zai's intentions were clear, but he didn't debunk them. After thinking about it, he opened his mouth and said, Sire, since you have broken through, then next, there are some things that can be prepared to start. After all, the Yanwang dynasty is still too little, and if it develops steadily, it is too slow. 99. Quote, quote. At this moment, both Yi Shi and Yun Xuanjian's eyes fell on Zhang Chushuan, their expressions shocked. You don't want to expand out, do you? Of course. Zhang Chushuan was bluntly lost. But the Yanwang dynasty has only been established for a long time, and there are many big and small things to deal with, so if you make a rash move, will it be too soon? Yi Shi never worried about whether the dynasty had this strength, she had confidence in Zhang Chushuan. He was only worried that there might not be enough manpower, and he might not be able to rush over to manage those training areas. On the side, Yun Xuanjian was already speechless in surprise. On the way, she already knew that the Yanwang dynasty had just been established, but she did not expect that Zhang Chushuan had already begun to prepare for expansion. Under normal circumstances, which dynasty has not been precipitated for more than 100 years 330 to have this consideration? However, thinking of her previous experience, as well as the mysterious strength shown by Zhang Chushuan, and the strangeness given to her by the Yanwang dynasty, Zhang Chushuan's decision seemed to be right. I know. But don't worry. Zhang Chushuan waved his hand and said squarely, now that you have broken through, there is no need for me to worry about it within the dynasty, and then just let the military generals of Wenchen move and ensure that the materials and other problems are good, and the rest, I will arrange someone to do it. Well, okay, I got it. At this moment, Yi Shi understood that Zhang Chushuan had really planned to do this for a long time, and the dynasty was only the starting point, not the end. Thinking clearly at this time, Yi Zai's eyes also exuded a raging fighting spirit, and his expression was appreciative. Don't worry, I will arrange this matter well. 39. However, after the excitement, Yi Shi quickly calmed down. Wang Du, then which state do we take next? Yi Zai's beautiful eyes widened and looked at Zhang Chushuan. Nowadays, it can be said that the entire Nanyang prefecture is under the control of their Yanwang dynasty, and the forces within the dynasty, with virtual panels, have disappeared, unconsciously, if they refuse to submit. For the rest, it makes no sense. State. Zhang Chushuan showed a playful smile and said directly, be bold Aee, I want the entire Nanlingzhou domain, even. Although the latter words did not come out, both Yi Shi and Yun Xuanjian understood. I want the whole Lingzhou domain. This is not to put the power of the 5th or even the 4th rank in the eyes. But Zhang Chushuan is by no means pretending. They couldn't help but feel fascinated by his domineering. Okay, I see. Yi Shi nodded heavily. After a deep groan, she was about to say her plan, but she didn't expect that Zhang Chushuan took the first step. You don't have to think about which state, it's right to make a good move against the Lin dynasty. You first send people to the neighboring states to convey the will of my Yanwang dynasty, and if there are those who do not submit, immediately send troops to wipe them out. As for Wenxin Academy, the other party will take the initiative to send it. Zhang Chushuan said in a firm voice. Yi Zai's heart was even more shocked. In her original plan, she planned to invade the neighboring weaker states and gradually encroach, but now it seems that Zhang Chushuan's idea is even crazier. Yes, in Yi Zai's eyes, Zhang Chushuan was crazy, but she had no doubt about what Zhang Chushuan said. Okay, just do what you say, Wang Du. Out of trust in Zhang Chushuan, Yi Shi readily agreed. But immediately, she shrugged her shoulders and said bitterly, Dear Lord Wang, this king is exhausted from handling so many government affairs every day. 35. If I want to do more things for you soon, I must be exhausted to death, don't you give some comfort. In front of ministers and outsiders, Yi Shi has always been the cold king who stands tall, but in front of Zhang Chushuan, she is like the girl next door, showing her true character and also stemming from coquetry. Okay, I'll treat you well in a minute. Zhang Chushuan handed over a look you know. Yi Zai's cheeks were slightly red. Is that sure not a punishment? Will it be too fast to expand externally now? The three of them stayed in Yi Zai's dormitory for a while, and Yun Xuanxian got up to say goodbye. Following her away was Yi Wushang, the leader of the Xuanyao Guard. Having her to help Yun Xuanjian understand the entire Yanwang dynasty would save Zhang Chushuan a lot of time. After only Yi Shi and Zhang Chushuan were left in the dormitory, Yi Shi suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. For the sake of Zhang Chushuan, Yi Shi had already dismissed the palace maids, and they were not allowed to come in without her order. The three people were okay, but Yi Shi didn't feel anything. But now, a lonely man and a widow, in the same room. Zhang Chushuan will not educate himself directly. Thinking of the key point, Yi Zai's face turned slightly red. But at this time, he saw Zhang Chushuan get up and prepare to leave, and immediately said involuntarily, Fujun, are you leaving now? What else to do? Zhang Chushuan was stunned for a moment. Stupid. Facing Zhang Chushuan's doubtful gaze, Yi Zai's face turned even redder, like a ripe apple. Seeing her like this, Zhang Chushuan immediately reacted and said with a smile, I see. Don't worry, I will definitely educate well. It's just not now. Seeing Yi Zai's puzzled look, Zhang Chushuan smiled and said, I'm not so anxious, so I rushed back, just messed with you in the imperial study, and it is not good to spread it. 35. You better deal with government affairs first, I just have some things to deal with. 99. After speaking, without waiting for Yi Shi to react, Zhang Chushuan left her dormitory. When the blush on his face slowly dissipated, he recalled what he said just now. The king of the Yanwang dynasty actually covered his face with his hands and stomped his feet shyly. Oh, shame to death. I knew I wouldn't have said it so quickly. Swish. Leaving the front hall, Zhang Chushuan returned to the backyard of the Yanwang palace and entered the great secret realm. The people in the family are all seriously cultivating, or dealing with some things related to cultivation. There are also many family members practicing against each other in the martial arts arena to improve their control of their own strength and combat experience. Jingshuan, you inform Jinhao that there are still a few of them. Come to the council hall, I have something to say. Zhang Chushuan immediately found Zhang Jingshuan. The eldest son went with himself to devour the temple and has not yet returned to his senses. After receiving his father's order, Zhang Jingshuan was stunned for a moment. It seems that every time Dad summons them to the council hall, it is a big event, and there are many benefits. Thinking of this, Zhang Jingshuan tentatively asked, Dad, is the benefit coming again? Stinky boy, hurry up and tell them, soon you'll know. Okay, Dad. 35. Not long after, all the members of the Zhang family arrived. At this time, the Zhang family meeting hall was very large, enough to accommodate hundreds of people. So these dozen people seem a little small here. Sitting on the main throne and looking at these descendants, Zhang Chushuan was more satisfied. With the blessing of a hundredfold system, their cultivation can be said to be thousands of miles a day, which is stronger than those peerless Tianzhao. Yun Xuanjian's shock is a living example. But not enough. I have summoned you today to announce something and to give you something. 55. 61%. Chapter 243. Fierce beasts move, mysterious sounds, subscription required. Give benefits. What, Daddy, you called me here for this? Without waiting for Zhang Chushuan to say the next words, Zhang Jingxi showed a speechless expression. I'm refining pills, this can completely let people send them to me. 99. Very good, a woman who was completely captured by alchemy. Zhang Chushuan was speechless for a while. Zhang Jingshuan's appearance, he also had a headache. This girl is good everywhere, but now she likes to nest in the alchemy room more and more, and even Nangong Lu's she can't do it. She also called it dynasty, development. You listen to me well. Zhang Jingshuan fell into Nangong Lu's devil claw. Ignoring Zhang Jin's pitying and pitiful appearance, Zhang Chushuan looked at everyone. This first thing is about the Yanwang dynasty. As soon as Zhang Chushuan was serious, everyone, including Zhang Jingshuan, immediately sat up a lot straighter, their eyes straight, and their attitude serious. At present, Nanyang Prefecture is basically under the control of my Yanwang dynasty. With the size of my Zhang family, a state is too small, and whether it is cleaning up internal hidden dangers or expanding, it needs to expand. Expansion. The hearts of the people were clear. The second-generation members immediately wanted to quit. They didn't want to be assigned some tasks by Zhang Chushuan and waste their cultivation time. When the Zhang family first started, he had not yet done it and could still tolerate the juniors who were higher in cultivation than himself, but now, don't say whether he can bear it or not, it will be humiliating to go out by himself. Therefore, he cherished the time of cultivation. Everyone must participate. 35. Through the expressions of Zhang Jingshuan and others, Zhang Chushuan saw through their thoughts at once. But this kind of thing, the second and third generations of children have to move. You first take some people from the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce to expand your business to the surrounding areas, and by the way, test the attitude of the forces of all parties. 35. Zhang Chushuan said to Zhang Jingxin first. Yanmo, you go with your fourth uncle. Yes, father, grandpa. The two agreed in unison. Originally, only Zhang Jingxin could be sent alone, but Zhang Chushuan wanted Zhang Yanmo to practice and gain knowledge, so he simply sent it together. After saying this, Zhang Chushuan looked at everyone again and said, next, it's time to explain your things. Grandpa, could it be that you got it in the secret realm? Zhang Yanren was the first to react, with some expectations in his heart. On the way back just now, she had learned that Zhang Chushuan devoured the holy rune. Now the core members of the Zhang family know that Zhang Chushuan seems to have comprehended some kind of supreme law and is able to imitate things. Actually, it's a 100-fold increase. Closing parenthesis. Maybe it's a spiritual artifact related to devouring holy runes. That's right. Looking at his best granddaughter, Zhang Chushuan smiled and nodded. That's right, but it's not the thing you think. Until you break through the Saint Lord level, I can't give it to you for the time being. 5. He also didn't know if the devouring talisman after the increase would pass the test before it could be used. To be safe, it is better to wait until he breaks through the distraction realm and has a divine soul to undergo the test, and he will have time to save people. Okay, here for you. With a flick of Zhang Chushuan's right hand, one jade chain after another levitated into the air. As he stretched out his hand a little, these jade chains automatically flew into everyone's hands. This is a little magical ability, called into the water, and sneaking in the sea can ensure that you are more comfortable in the water than the sea tribe. 39. Ordinary monks who want to stay in the water for a long time have to consume most of their aura. Last time the Sea Clan happened, Zhang Chushuan had realized that it was inevitable to meet these foreign tribes in the future, so he now passed on the water entry technique to these clans. In the future, foreign operations will also involve the Sea Tribe, and with such magical powers, it is good to ensure their own safety. Little magic power. More in the water than the Sea Tribe. Hearing Zhang Chushuan's words, everyone was shocked in their hearts, followed by a happy expression. There are also many heavenly and earth treasures in the ocean, but due to the restraint of cultivation, it is difficult for ordinary people to gain something in the sea. But every treasure in the sea is a big hit. Without waiting for them to digest the news, Zhang Chushuan continued. I will distribute this spell to others one after another, and if you can master it, when you cultivate the army of the Sea Clan in the future, you can quickly pass it on to others. Yes, Zhang Jingshuan was the first to speak, followed by the others. Zhang Chushuan nodded, originally wanting to say something, but he felt a special wave coming from the northwest, which was captured by the devouring rune. Being able to be noticed by the runes is not ordinary. After thinking about it, he waved his hand for everyone to retreat, and then walked alone towards the outside of the council hall. Okay, let's go away, I still have business. 99. Step out. Zhang Chushuan came to the west of the royal city, in front of the Fierce Beast mountain range. Before crossing over, many troops were sent to resist the powerful races in the Fierce Beast mountain range, and you can imagine the horror of the Fierce Beast mountain range. After the establishment of the royal city, the Fierce Beast mountain range was pushed thousands of miles. Originally, most of the fierce beasts with useful value were driven to the northwest of the Fierce Beast mountain range by him. Coming to the sky over the mountain range, Zhang Chushuan found an anomaly. Most of those fierce beasts that were driven to the northwest region actually quieted down and did not even move very much, while some fierce beasts of different races actually showed signs of union and living together at this time. Kind of interesting. 9. Zhang Chushuan was surprised. He didn't think that the fierce beasts with great reputation became good babies after being abused by him, and they would gather together to live in peace instead of killing each other. There must be cat greasy. 0 asking for flowers. Need to be sure. Before coming to the Fierce Beast mountain range alone, Zhang Chushuan released his divine thoughts and swept through the northwest region. Feeling the breath of the fierce beast, Zhang Chushuan's whole person flew out and rushed into the Fierce Beast mountain range. Because there was an operation before, Zhang Chushuan didn't care about the rest of the elixir, anyway, the valuable ones were stored by him. Not long after, Zhang Chushuan encountered the first wave of fierce beasts, the 9-pin jackdaw. Jackdaws are a large group, and a single one is not strong, but when the overwhelming jackdaws rush in, the ordinary Jaden realm does not dare to touch its edge. Zhang Chushuan could block it, but considering that it was not appropriate to expose it now, he chose to leave quietly and did not disturb the tens of thousands of jackdaws who were resting at this time. Boom. Not long after Zhang Chushuan left, in the depths of the northwest, there was a sudden noise. It seemed to be a heartbeat, but it was very strange, and Zhang Chushuan instinctively felt a little irritable when he heard it. And the jackdaw, who was resting, suddenly opened his eyes read. 0. Quote, quack quack. One after another, the awakened jackdaws immediately flapped their wings and swept away. Where they passed, some fierce beasts were directly devoured, leaving only a white skeleton. Those who were slightly stronger fled, but they were also injured a lot. Zhang Chushuan did not see the situation here, and still went deep to the northwest. The further you go, the taller the trees become, and the smaller the surrounding beasts. Although the fierce beasts are all gathered in the northwest region, that is for the past. The more powerful it is, the more it occupies a position in the depths. That's why it's empty. Hey, rushing through the ferocious beast mountain range, Zhang Chushuan went straight to the place where the sound came from. That feeling was very unpleasant to him and had to be investigated. Roar. Suddenly, a fierce beast came out of the ground and bit directly towards Zhang Chushuan with a large mouth. The figure continued to fly forward. Zhang Chushuan's sword intent was pervasive, and the fierce beast that flew in immediately split in half, falling from it, and blood filled the air. Soon after, other fierce beasts smelled the smell and rushed to share the food. Without staying, Zhang Chushuan's figure immediately disappeared in place. As he flew by, dozens of fierce beasts all moved towards Zhang Chushuan, but they were still close, and they were all solved by his sword intent. These fierce beasts whose strength is not yet in the Jaden realm pose no threat to him. Whoosh! Suddenly, a wolf howl caused Zhang Chushuan to stop. There was a sound of rustling in the surrounding woods, and no less than hundreds of moon-howling red flame wolves surrounded Zhang Chushuan. The body of the leading moon red flame wolf was more than twice as tall as an ordinary red flame wolf, and it was more than a foot tall. This moon-howling red flame wolf actually has the strength to approach the divine mansion realm. But in front of Zhang Chushuan, nothing. Are you going to stop me? River. 61%. Chapter 244. A heart has found you. Subscription required. Phew. The leader of the howling moon red flame wolf howled to the sky, using his actions to show his answer. Suddenly, the surrounding red flame wolves took action and launched an attack on Zhang Chushuan. HMPH. Zhang Chushuan snorted coldly, waved his hand and swung out a sword chi, and dozens of red flame wolves were instantly killed. But instead of repelling the wolves, it stimulated their bloody nature. Barking wildly, the moon-howling red flame wolf acted like the wind and rushed straight at it. Get out of the way. With a light drink, Zhang Chushuan kicked the approaching red flame wolf. The red flame wolf fell to the ground and struggled twice, and then there was no movement. The red flame wolf leader's howl became more and more urgent, as if he was angry because his men could not stop Zhang Chushuan. Seeing such a scene, Zhang Chushuan tiptoed a little, and his figure rushed towards the leader of the red flame wolf. An invisible sword intent permeated, and the body of the leader of the red flame wolf suddenly sounded muffled. The moon-howling red flame wolf is extremely talented, and its defense is enough to withstand the attacks of ordinary divine mansion realm cultivators. The skin is still quite hard, 330, but unfortunately, it is not as hard as the knife in my hand. With a wave of his hand, suddenly, a crescent-like sword aura spread out, rushing straight to the leader of the red flame wolf. The crescent sword chi did not help the leader of the red flame wolf, and when it was about an inch in front of it, it was dissolved by an invisible force. On the contrary, the hundreds of ordinary moon-howling red flame wolves around were hacked and killed. Damage transfer. Kind of interesting. 39. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan kept swinging knife chi in his hand. Dada. Under the attack of the dense knife chi, the leader of the red flame wolf tried to dodge, but apparently not. He was hit all the time. Did he make a wail? Poof. When his body moved, Zhang Chushuan had already come close to the leader of the red flame wolf, and the long knife in his hand did not hesitate to stab. The howling moon red flame wolf whimpered twice, and instantly fell to the ground. Without saying a word, Zhang Chushuan broke through the body of the red flame wolf, and the sword intent continued to move forward in its body, stopping and taking it out when it approached a round ball. At this point, the leader of the red flame wolf was killed. Without the leader's instructions, after this group of ordinary moon-howling red flame wolves attacked a few times, they scattered and dissipated without a trace. Needin is good. Put away the red flame wolf Needin, and Zhang Chushuan hit the road again. If it weren't for the fact that the inner Dan of the howling moon red flame wolf was extremely rare, and its value was directly chasing the heavenly rank heavenly material and earth treasure, he would not have wasted time here at all, and directly wiped out the entire wolf pack with one move. Boom. Walked about tea time. Zhang Chushuan had already penetrated into his potential, and the sound like a beating heart suddenly came again. Zhang Chushuan's face changed. He saw the earth shaking. Did you find me? As the vibration became more and more intense, Zhang Chushuan could already see the first batch of fierce beasts, running wildly. Unavoidably, these frenzied beasts rushed towards Yanwang King City to cause damage, and Zhang Chushuan's pupils turned into black vortices, using their divine thoughts to guide them to rush in another direction. After solving all this, he continued to move towards the depths. Soon, a scenic valley appeared in front of him. There is a broken wall in front of the valley, from which the waterfall cascades down with a deafening sound. The surrounding aura is very strong, and it is a good place to cultivate at first glance. Zhang Chushuan didn't look much, but smoothly swallowed the eye of the holy rune and rushed directly into the waterfall. Poof! Zhang Chushuan crossed by, and there was indeed a space behind this waterfall, and the sound that resembled a beating heart seemed to come from inside. Sure enough, I guessed right. Passing through the waterfall, a huge cave suddenly appears in front of you. A path staircase leads to the deepest part of the cave. There are all kinds of mysterious patterns engraved around, stretching all the way and not seeing the end. Without stopping, Zhang Chushuan walked forward indifferently. After turning one corner after another, finally, a cave appeared in front of you. At the top of the cave is a huge stalactite dripping from it. A pool of water has long formed below. Walking to the pool water, Zhang Chushuan then waved, atomized part of the water, and then sucked in. It's actually the liquefaction of the earth's spiritual qi. I didn't expect that there would be such a place near the Yanwang dynasty. Zhang Chushuan's eyes fluctuated. Reiki liquefaction is generally formed by Reiki in its rich place, and it takes a long time, and Reiki liquid is 10 times purer and more effective than Reiki. The earth aura is a special aura gushing out of the earth's veins, and the effect is 5 times better than ordinary aura. The earth Reiki liquid is naturally 10 times more effective than the earth Reiki. This pool water is actually all earth spirit liquid. What a place! Sighing slightly, Zhang Chushuan did not take it. The cave that originally extended in all directions, at this time, only the opposite side remained, leading to the unknown. Zhang Chushuan thought about it, then stepped out and walked directly into it. Suddenly, a gloomy and cold breath rushed to his face, blowing his clothes to the point of hunting. It took a while for the cold aura to stop, and Zhang Chushuan knew that he was about to reach his destination. The foreground wandered again, and as Zhang Chushuan walked through the cave, he was faced with a stone chamber less than 10 feet in size. The stone chamber is not decorated, except for a square altar in the middle. Directly above the altar, a heart as black as ink stands in the sky. Boom! Just as Zhang touched closer, this heart erupted with more intense power and beat up. Outside, the fierce beast is even more crazy. Almost everywhere it goes, it is destroyed, a mess zero. Hey, found you. At this moment, Zhang Chushuan's eyes froze and a trace of coldness flashed. Human, you shouldn't have come here. Sensing Zhang Chushuan's arrival, his heart actually made a sound. Hee, whether you come or not, it's not up to you to decide. You, leave quickly. Despite his calm speech, Zhang Chushuan sensed that something was wrong. Too anxious. And if this heart is capable, why not kill him? Oh, why are you in such a hurry to drive me away? The corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth outlined a touch of playfulness. Seeing this, the heart beat again and fell silent. You don't want to talk. But I have a lot to say to you. 35. What do you want to know? 35. Finally, after Zhang Chushuan made a noise, for a few minutes, his heart spoke again. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan smiled. I really want to know, those fierce beasts outside are crazy, is it related to you? You, who are you again? Without saying a word, Zhang Chushuan took a long time to look forward to a response. This matter has nothing to do with you. The pitch-black heart was still calm. I advise you to leave this place within 3 breaths, otherwise, stay forever. Oh, can you keep me? Zhang Chushuan's eyes showed sarcasm. A heart can make the fierce beast crazy, and has its own consciousness. The most important thing is to devour the holy rune and sense, which makes him want to explore the secret. Gollum. Suddenly, the sound of boiling water sounded in his ears. Zhang Chushuan got up and found that the ground around him had been melted, and a pool of pitch-black liquid spread out. 4.4. Before long, the entire stone chamber was surrounded by black liquid. A vicious cold breath made Zhang Chushuan frown slightly. Manic, killing, cold. More than one breath was felt by Zhang Chushuan, and this time, he couldn't leave even more. The sword intent spread silently, and Zhang Chushuan's expression was cold. Pretending to be a ghost, don't you dare to show up. To deal with you, there is no need to show up. Quote. Oh, where do you get your confidence? Woo. The invisible knife chi immediately diffused, slashing towards the black liquid. But these liquids only moved slightly, absorbing all the knife chi without a ripple. I said, one hand can crush you. No shame. With a cold snort, Zhang Chushuan suddenly raised his hand, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Come and enjoy. Shumu sinks thunder. Crackle. The next moment, the endless thunder light was confused, and the entire stone room trembled. 62%. Chapter 245. The Shadow Emperor is directly under the king, and the holy rune is first used. HMPH. A muffled snort came from the heart, and the surrounding thunder light dissipated a lot. After a while, the thunder light completely disappeared, the stone room was already potholed, and the black liquid was already there. Reduced a lot, slow to act. That's it. Zhang Chushuan's tone was full of mockery. Rumo's heart was instantly furious. Endless darkness. With a violent sound, the black liquid boiled again and spread out towards the surroundings, as if to surround Zhang Chushuan. It seems that the strength is not enough, I can't force you to show up. Zhang Chushuan's eyes condensed slightly, and he couldn't help but increase the strength in his hand again. In an instant, an overwhelming thunder light appeared. These thunder lights were more violent and much larger than before. Boom, boom, one after another, the thunder light collided with the black liquid, making a loud noise. Zhang Chushuan could even hear the screams of the black liquid before it disappeared, seeping into people's minds. After a period of shaking, the stone room fell silent again. The surrounding area has been enlarged several times, and there are potholes. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan looked at the pitch-black O4 heart and said, "Is you such a trick? If so, I'm sorry, you're dead today. It's you who died." Ah! With a roar, the pitch-black heart in front of Zhang Chushuan's eyes suddenly surged with flesh and blood. A dozen breaths later, a great figure appeared in front of him. He has long dark hair and purple eyes. The first-born pair of giant horns, but one of the giant horns was shattered in half. The face of the figure is covered with countless mysterious lines, and there is light flowing. Dark ball. Without saying a word, a pitch-black ball immediately appeared in the hand of Huayan's figure, and a trace of black gas circulated on the surface. 35. The black ball was thrown by him with great force and went straight to Zhang Chushuan. Running his body easily dodged the black ball, Zhang Chushuan slightly straightened up. This breath is king. But the breath was very unstable and he was obviously badly injured. It seems that another guy hiding in the shadows, praying for recovery. It's a pity that you met me. A cold voice sounded, and Zhang Chushuan stood in the air, his clothes windless. The sword intent became intense, and even the space was distorted. If anyone familiar with Zhang Chushuan is here, it is clear that he is serious about it. Dragon Yuan Heaven Falls. Zhang Chushuan suddenly stretched out a hand, in the shape of a claw. Boom. 99. The spiritual energy in the original spiritual liquid pool instantly boiled, turned into a silky flying thread, and rushed towards Zhang Chushuan. In the next moment, the earth shook. The sun shines overhead, and the surrounding smoke is thick. When that palm fell, many strong people far away in the royal city also felt its power, and they all looked sideways towards the fierce beast mountain range. This kind of vibration. Is there a top powerhouse fighting? There are definitely strong people who fight in the fierce beast mountain range. How does this palm feel a little familiar? It's Lord Prince. Could it be that Lord Prince is cleaning up the ferocious beast mountain range? Want to take a look? Don't die. With your little strength, entering the fierce beast mountain range can only be a dead end. Quote. Wang Cheng was shaken by Zhang Chushuan's palm. Countless cultivators looked sideways, and some of them even rushed directly into the fierce beast mountain range to find the source. But at this time, Zhang Chushuan's face became a little solemn. After he swung that palm, the chilling aura did not disappear, but became more intense. Ha ha ha, even if you are an ant, you dare to be an enemy of the king. The smoke cleared, and the figure of the great man reappeared in front of Zhang Chushuan. Looking at his intact, even dusty clothes, Zhang Chushuan's complexion changed slightly. This is more demonic, a bit horizontal. As if seeing through what Zhang Chushuan was thinking, the figure laughed wildly and said, "This king is the Shadow Emperor and sit down on the Shadow King." 39. Ants, today is your death period. 9. Shadow Emperor sit down. Zhang Chushuan's heart tightened. There are 4 levels between the Great Emperor and the King, the Quasi-Emperor, the Great Saint, the Emperor, and the Saint. The person in front of him who claimed to be the Shadow Emperor was obviously a direct subordinate. In terms of identity, the Shadow King is afraid that he is similar to the descendants of the White Tenor Emperor clan. The breath is not as powerful as the evil chi I encountered before, and there must be many bragging ingredients. Submit to the feet of this king, O ant, and grant you supreme glory. Seeing Zhang Chushuan standing still, the Shadow King thought that he was frightened by himself, and couldn't help but show a smug smile. You have to have a degree of joking, right? Coming back to his senses, Zhang Chushuan said sarcastically, "It's just a king, have you heard of the 7th emperor?" 7th Emperor Venerable. Hearing these 4 words, the Shadow King's face changed sharply. With its royal cultivation, it was not qualified to know about the emperor. But as a direct subordinate of the Shadow Emperor, responsible for arranging some things, he really knew the news of the 7th Emperor, and he also knew that the 7th Emperor, who was known as the strongest ability to preserve life under the Great Emperor, had fallen. "How do you know about the 7th Emperor Venerable?" the Shadow King asked in a deep voice. "This." A sneer appeared at the corner of Zhang Chushuan's mouth, and he said lightly, "Not long ago, I killed that 7th Emperor Venerable." What? Hearing this, the Shadow Emperor's heart shook. But he quickly came to his senses. "Ha ha ha, Ant, you're kidding, right? 99. Although the 7th Emperor Venerable is sealed, it is not something you can deal with." Quote. "It's ridiculous. Let me kill you now." Shadow destruction. The Shadow King is a direct master. As the words fell, the entire sky suddenly darkened. A cold breath appeared from the fierce beast mountain range. In response to this, Zhang Chushuan was not afraid, secretly running to devour the holy rune, and asked with some doubts on the surface, "There is one thing, I am curious." "Oh, what? What are you going to do when you control this fierce beast mountain range?" Hearing this, the Shadow Emperor Venerable immediately became furious. He stared straight at Zhang Chushuan and didn't say why. He originally wanted to use these fierce beasts to help him collect essence blood, 330 reforge his body, and return to the peak. But the arrival of Zhang Chushuan made him use the remaining strength to condense this body, and the days when he wanted to reforge the body had to be delayed. Now Zhang Chushuan still doesn't open any pot, and he only has anger. "Ants, die!" the Shadow King directly exploded. Faced with this situation, Zhang Chushuan was not afraid, but raised his palm, summoned the devouring saint rune, and shouted, "Since you don't cooperate, then forget it. The one who is going to die, it's you." In an instant, the sky and earth changed color again, and the cold aura that had originally condensed suddenly dissipated at this moment. And the Shadow Emperor Venerable found that he had lost control of it, and his own cultivation had quickly fallen from the great sage to the divine power, and was still falling. What's going on? The Shadow King was shocked, but he didn't understand why. The power of devouring the holy rune that devours everything is too strange. In that instant, it felt that all the demonic energy in its body had been withdrawn, and it could no longer continue to cast magic attacks for a moment. Feeling the powerless body at this time, the Shadow King panicked and exclaimed, "Ants, what have you done?" "Ants, I really don't think I'm dying fast enough." The corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth grinned, and his eyes turned into pitch-black swirls. Facing this face to face, the Shadow King chuckled in his heart, and a bad premonition rose. Quote. The Shadow King was even more frightened to find that at this time, like a lamb to be slaughtered, his whole body could not move. In the blink of an eye, he was like a defenseless mortal, very weak. This is Devour. 62%. Chapter 246 opens the era of conquest of the Fierce Beast Mountain Range, a new starting point. Like a lamb to be slaughtered, the Shadow King found himself uncontrollable and almost out of his body. Ah! The spirit was torn out little by little, and the screams of the Shadow King became louder and louder. When he realized that he was completely unable to resist, he hurriedly shouted, "Stop! Stop! Leave me alive, I can! I can! No need! Let you know today that ants can also kill this king." Zhang Chushuan did not give the other party a chance to think, and his eyes became darker and darker. Let me go." The sound of begging for mercy became weaker and weaker, and when the last sound disappeared, the breath of the Shadow King dissipated, leaving only a pitch-black heart. That body also completely disappeared after his spirit dissipated. The Shadow King fell, and the cold aura around him immediately dissipated a lot. This demonic aura is really weird, even my mind can be affected, and finally erased clean, otherwise maybe some evil beasts and evil cultivators will be born. 99. Feeling the resistance coming from the devouring rune, Zhang Chushuan thought about it slightly and chose to be ugly. Under the agitation of the clothes, a gust of wind was suddenly set off. When the place was thoroughly cleaned, Zhang Chushuan stopped his movements. At the same time, those crazy fierce beasts within a radius of hundreds of miles in the eastern region of the Fierce Beast Mountain Range were all clear-eyed and circled in place, a little overwhelmed. When some powerful fierce beasts began to slaughter the weak, the group fierce beasts quickly dispersed in the form of birds and beasts. When Zhang Chushuan came to the outside of the waterfall, he just saw 3 Jaden Realm Peak Fierce Beasts trembling desperately, and then solved it. Lord Prince. As soon as Zhang Chushuan solved the playing scene, some powerful cultivators continued to appear around, and even Qi Shuan, who was once the lord of the 7 major forces, also came. Looking at the surrounding devastated valley and the flattened mountains, Qi Shuan's eyes were full of shock. Fang Kai's breath was obviously beyond the divine mansion realm, and it was not even a simple Saint Lord level power. This kind of fragmentation involving space seems to be a king level powerhouse. Could it be that Zhang Chushuan has the strength of a king? And other strength? It is really shocking. You guys are here, I just solved an evil cultivator here. There were more and more cultivators gathered around, and Zhang Chushuan was not surprised. After all, he made a lot of movement, and this place was not far from Yanwang City. He didn't say anything about the Shadow King. The evil demon race is still too far away from the ordinary human race, and now that the catastrophe of heaven and earth has not yet opened, it is better to use evil cultivation to refer to it. Sure enough, the prince disturbed you. A few of us found the abnormality in the mountain range, and after discussion, we came to investigate, but I didn't expect that it was the prince who personally took action. Yes, worthy of being a prince, I must have killed that powerful evil cultivator without spending too much thought. We are relieved to see that Lord Prince is fine. Idiot, don't even think about it. Lord Prince seems to have something to do. By the way, your lord, if you need my help next, just ask. 35. Looking at a few of them, Zhang Chushuan was about to shake his head. What can these people do for him? But the monks are still coming, and they are accumulating more and more. His heart suddenly moved, and he changed his attention. Under the shroud of divine thought, he knew that as long as he did not go too deep into the central region of the fierce beast, the eastern region would basically not be in danger. This is a good opportunity to cleanse. You can work for relief. Thinking of this, after seeing that the number of people was almost fixed, Zhang Chushuan raised his height slightly and looked at the many cultivators. Everyone, I have solved most of the earth tier fierce beasts and heaven tier fierce beasts, and from today onwards, the fierce beast mountain range can be safely entered. 35. The heavenly rank fierce beast is comparable to the divine mansion realm, but it was actually swallowed by the Shadow King. But Zhang Chushuan has no problem saying that now. What? Did I hear you right? The fierce beast mountain range has always dared only those cultivators who fought for their lives to enter, but they did not dare to go as deep as they do now. 35. If it weren't for the heavenly treasures in it, who would come to the fierce beast mountain range? In an instant, Zhang Chushuan's words caused all the monks who rushed to fry. This heavy news immediately focused everyone's attention. That's right, most of the threats in the ferocious beast mountain range no longer exist. Zhang Chushuan nodded slightly and continued to speak. There are also many heavenly and earth treasures, all of which can get good benefits. You can develop whatever you want. At that time, the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce will give a price that exceeds the market by 1%. Zhang Chushuan thought very simply. Since the royal city is close to the fierce beast mountain range, wouldn't it be a waste to put this treasure land? Even if you collect it yourself, it is better to expand your power when you have that time. Instead, these private forces can be used. Anyway, he has 100-fold increase, and it is completely fine to buy at a premium, and he can still cultivate his subordinates. Hey, premium acquisition. 9. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and many cultivators immediately discussed it. However, the goal had been achieved, so Zhang Chushuan did not stay and returned directly to the royal city. Zhang Chushuan's move made the 7 major forces more determined to stand on his side. Lord Prince is really powerful. Looking at his distant back, Ni Kashan twisted his beard lightly and said with a smile, Fortunately, my grandson and the prince have a good relationship, and I will definitely get a lot of benefits in the fierce beast mountain range this time. Quote. Old man Ni, you dream. Ning Daofei showed a look of disdain. Everyone has the same status, why do you have such an illusion? After speaking, without waiting for everyone to react, Ning Daofei went directly to Wang City. He wanted to immediately gather all the members of the city to discuss matters related to the fierce beast mountain range. Old fox, why didn't we think of it? Hurry back and immediately let all the members put down their affairs and prepare to enter the fierce beast mountain range. Quote. While the other cultivators were still pleasantly surprised by this news, the 7 major forces had already made some moves. Back in the mansion, Zhang Chushuan also informed the heads of various stores of the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce that they were ready to receive it when the time came. Then he returned to the secret realm and took out the moon-howling red flame wolf Niden. Found that one Niden can be consumed, and the consumption can be doubled as follows. Roaring Moon Red Flame Wolf Niden Extreme X 100. 2. Purple Yan Star Swallowing Wolf Niden Extreme X 10. 3. Moon Devouring Celestial Wolf Niden Extreme X 1. The 100-fold reward system is really good. Moon Devouring Sky Wolf, but the Emperor of Wolves, I didn't expect to get such an inner Dan and make a lot of money. Zhang Chushuan was very satisfied with this result. A moon-howling red flame wolf inner pill is equivalent to a heaven-rank heavenly material and earth treasure, and if it is refined into a pill, its value will be doubled. No, several times more. Thinking that now Zhang Jingxi shook the alchemy and returned it, as well as the value of the howling moon red flame wolf Niden, Zhang Chushuan directly exchanged 100 moon roaring moon red flame wolf Niden. After loading Niden and sending a message to Zhang Jingxi so that she had time to pick it up, Zhang Chushuan pondered slightly. Next, it's time to wait. Fast forward 7 days. There are all kinds of heavenly and earth treasures in the Fierce Beast mountain range. Everyone go quickly. Walk around. You have to hurry, otherwise the good things will be snatched away by others. 39. The Ferocious Beast mountain range found almost extinct sword-shaped grass. Eileen, the sky meteorites have been dug up. It's scent. Good, this is scent. Because of Zhang Chushuan's words, it was silent for a long time, and the Fierce Beast mountain range, which many people regarded as the place of 9 deaths, became lively again. Many monks enter it every day. Coming out of the Fierce Beast mountain range, he either came out with a smile on his face or a depressed look. Some of them, even after entering, never came out again. But this did not dampen the enthusiasm of the treasure-hunting cultivators. After all, risks and benefits coexist. If it could enter and exit the Fierce Beast mountain range absolutely safely, it would have been hollowed out by a cultivator long ago. The Fierce Beast mountain range attracted countless cultivators from the royal city to hunt for treasures, and there were also cultivators from nearby cities, who also rushed after receiving the news. For a time, Yanwang City was very lively, and you could see new faces shuttling through it every day, looking hurried. Zhang Chushuan was in the secret realm, and suddenly opened his eyes. I don't know what the situation is on Jingxin's side. It's time to take action against the Lin dynasty. South Luzhou, South Liucheng. After passing through the teleportation array on the way, Zhang Jingxin and Zhang Yanmo arrived at this place with the members of the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce. Fourth uncle, we've arrived. First stop, Nanliu City. 62%. Chapter 247 Arrogant Woman, there are always clowns. Zhang Jingxin looked at the city gate not far away, and his expression moved slightly. For the Zhang family not long ago, the Lin dynasty was a behemoth, and they didn't dare to think of it. But because of Zhang Chushuan, his father, their Zhang family rose rapidly and created the first Yanwang dynasty to obey the family's orders. How strong the Yanwang dynasty is, the Zhang family command is even stronger. The distance between the two is rapidly shrinking, and the background is difficult to say, but now, the strength of the Yanwang dynasty is vaguely stronger than that of the Lin dynasty, let alone the Zhang family. Moreover, Lin's move on the day caused serious damage to the luck of the Lin dynasty. The Lin dynasty also dropped 1 grade, and the upper grade became a middle grade. Recently, under the invasion of the surrounding 6 product forces, it is almost going to regress to the lower grade. At this time, in the territory of the Nilan clan, the atmosphere everywhere was very solemn. However, because of the situation of heavy guarding in this Nanliu city, the tension is not so strong. Let's go into town. His eyes narrowed slightly, and after taking a few glances at the gate of Nanliu city, Zhang Jingxin took Zhang Yanmo and the members of the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce and stepped in. As far as the eye can see, the straight main road stretches all the way to see no end. There are many shops on the street, and many mortals or monks are coming and going in and out of them. Flash, flash away. Suddenly, an anxious shout reached everyone's ears. Some city residents seem to have long been accustomed to it, and have retreated to the doors of street shops to give way to the main 333 road. Look, it's the third miss of the Liu family who secretly ran out of the city to play. 9. Blind, looking at her anxious appearance, she should have been discovered by General Liu and ordered to return. 35. Third miss is not to be scolded again. The figure is even more anxious, and he is about to arrive in front of him. Hurry up and get out of the way. Only a group of people left behind the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce, looking a little confused, and they all turned to look. A snow-white high-headed horse was galloping towards a young woman in a cyan gauze dress. The woman looked anxious, and when she saw Zhang Jingxin and the others still standing on the main road without moving, she immediately increased her volume. Hurry up and flash away, can't you hear? Da da da, da da da. The sound of horses' hooves was getting closer and closer, and Zhang Jingxuan knew about this mission, so after taking a look, he ordered the people around him to turn sideways and get out of the way. Ding! Just as the high-headed road passed by Zhang Jingxin and the others, I don't know what kind of stimulation I received, and suddenly stopped, and the front hooves were raised even higher, and they were about to step towards the strangers in the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce. Humph! Zhang Yanmo snorted coldly, stepped forward to everyone to be angry, and randomly slapped a palm, and the spiritual power converged on the forelimb of the high-headed horse. Boom! 35. With a loud noise, the snow-white steed immediately fell to the side, moved several meters, and let out a scream and disappeared directly. Shish! This scene shocked everyone. Oops! This guy killed Miss San's mount. 35. Alas, it's not good to provoke anyone. You have to mess with third miss, even if Junjin comes, you can't save them. Quote. Looking at their appearance, it seems that they are from other places, and it is normal to not understand the temper of the third young lady. It's just a pity. I am young, it seems that I am here to do business, and now even people bring goods will be damaged. Quote. Watching the lively residents talking on the side, Zhang Jingxin frowned slightly when he heard it. He didn't know who the third young lady was, but listening to this voice, it should not be small. However, Zhang Jingxin is not afraid, he is the Zhang family. The Lin dynasty did not look at his eyesight either. It's okay to reveal your identity. This time they are taking the Yang scheme, and expanding their influence can better create a chamber of commerce. Damn, you killed my beloved flying snow. The third lady of the Lu family jumped away urgently when the horse's ass flew out upside down, and was not injured, but fell to the ground and fell on the ass. Only after hearing the sound of the horse's breath did she react, get up from the ground and angrily come to Zhang Jingxin and his party. She wears a cyan gauze dress, her figure is bumpy, and her long hair is flowing. A pair of willow eyebrows is just right, adding a bit of beauty to her. Watery eyes, Joan's nose upturned, cherry small mouth. Anyone who sees it will think that this woman is a fairy under mortality. She is not only good-looking, but also has a more noble background, but she is the daughter of General Lu Tianan, the great general of the Lin dynasty who holds a million-strong army, Lu Shishi. Because she is the only daughter, Lu Shishi is usually particularly favored, so she has always been lawless in the city. Riding a horse on the street is just a pediatric matter. With her hands on her waist, Lu Qianqin seemed to want to reprimand Zhang Moyan, the murderer, but after thinking about it, she just dropped a cruel word. Wait, if Miss Ben is not in a hurry, she will kill you immediately. But Miss Ben remembers you. Prepare a coffin for yourself. After saying this, Lu Qianqin left directly, and saw that there was a good horse not far away, unmanned, resting. She also did not greet the owner of the good horse, but rode directly and walked away. Zhang Yanmo was already angry because Lu Qianqin was almost violent on the street, and after hearing this, he wanted to speak, but was stopped by Zhang Jingxin. Don't worry. Zhang Jingxin squinted his eyes slightly and sneered. Find out the situation, and it's not too late to settle the account at that time. 55. At this time, a few scattered cultivators were strong and persuaded in a low voice. Little brother, you guys leave quickly, maybe you can avoid the anger of the third young lady. Yes, offended the Lu family, there is no place in this Liunan city, or even the entire Liunan prefecture. Quote. Let's go, when third miss comes back, you won't be able to leave. 99. In the face of the reminders of the nearby residents, Zhang Jingxin thanked them, but said, everyone, do you know which inn in this city is fairer? We had a bit of a deal to do and needed to stay for a few days. Oh, why don't you listen to persuasion? Seeing this, the nearby residents all shook their heads helplessly, but there were still well-wishers who pointed out the direction to them. Follow this main road all the way, and there is a Liunan inn about a mile later. The inn that can be named after the city is certainly extraordinary. Thank you. After holding his fist again, Zhang Jingxin left with the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce and his party. As for the flying snow corpses lying on the ground, not long after they left, the soldiers were immediately taken away and cleaned up. Fourth uncle, why did you stop me just now? Liunan Inn, Yanwang Chamber of Commerce asked for 5 upper rooms and lived in. At this time, Zhang Jingxin and Zhang Yanmo were standing by the window of the room, looking at the street outside. Hearing this, Zhang Jingxin tilted his head slightly and said with a smile, Yan Mo, you are still young, and it is always good to be vigorous, but it also depends on the situation. Seeing that Zhang Yanmo understood after only a little thought, Zhang Jingxin didn't say much. He stretched out his finger and pointed to the side of the street and spoke. You said, our Yanwang Chamber of Commerce wants to gain a foothold here, which place is the best to choose? The Liunan Inn is built on the side of the intersection and countless people pass by every day. It is a necessary force to enter and exit the city gates, so business is booming. If it weren't for Zhang Jingxin and them coming early, there would have been no room. Of course here, Zhang Yanmo thought for a while, and then said, extending in all directions, there is a basis for advance and retreat. 35. Aha, let's do this today, rest for the night, and go to the surrounding chambers of commerce tomorrow. A unique light flashed in Zhang Jingxuan's eyes. Liunan Inn is not ordinary, so will it have nothing to do with Lufu? Let the bullets fly for a while. Yes, fourth uncle. Willow House, in the living room. Lu Tianan's face was gloomy, and his mood was very bad. Dad, why did you call me back? As soon as Lu Qianchen entered the door, she immediately flew towards Lu Tianan, ready to be coquettish in his arms to alleviate her father's anger towards him. But the next moment, she directly shivered. It was a pair of eyes that contained this boundless anger. Lu Shishi had never seen it. Quote. 62%. Chapter 248. The people of the Lu family, the conflict arises again, subscription required. Lu Qianchen, do you still know to come back? Without waiting for Lu Qianchen to speak, Lu Tianan stood up and roared with anger in his eyes, do you still have my father's eyesight? Dad, what's wrong with you? For a time, Lu Qianchen froze in place, not daring to take another step. On weekdays, even if my father is angry, he will not behave like this. Thinking that he had gone out of the city several times, and did not make his father so atmospheric, a bad premonition immediately rose from Lu Qianchen's heart. Get on your knees. 99. Lu Tianan shouted angrily, and the invisible pressure made Lu Qianchen's body tremble. Poof. Lu Shishi, who could not resist, trembled and knelt down, lowered her head, and stopped speaking. It seemed that the anger had subsided a lot, and Lu Tianan looked at Lu Qianchen with a trace of sadness in his eyes. From today, be grounded for 3 months. Without my orders, you are not allowed to step out of the Fu mansion. Quote. Hearing this, Lu Qianchen immediately raised her head, full of shock. She still had tears on her face, looking very pitiful and aggrieved. Take it down. 9. Yes. 35. As soon as these words came out, 2 soldiers immediately walked out of the shadows of the living room and left with Lu Shishi. Dad, I won't sneak out anymore, you don't have to be grounded. Quote. However, no matter how Lu Qianchen begged for mercy, Lu Tianan's face remained unchanged and she never changed her mind. Could it be that the sky is going to kill my Lu family? When the living room was empty, Lu Tianan's face was solemn and he muttered to himself. Half a year ago, the birth of a good king became a joke. Today, the Lin dynasty is besieged on all sides, and the crisis facing their Lu family is getting bigger and bigger. The development momentum of the Yanwang dynasty is fierce, and the land of one state has 6 products of superior luck, such as not being satisfied, and Nawan Shin Academy is said to intend to give the subordinate states to the Yanwang dynasty. What an eventful time. In the evening, Lu Tianan returned to the room and saw his wife sitting at the table. There were some delicacies on the table, and a jug of wine, which seemed to be waiting for themselves. After sitting down, Lu Tianan poured himself a glass of wine and drank it all. It seemed that it was not enjoyable, and after drinking a few cups in a row, it stopped. At Liunan Inn, Zhang Jingxin and Zhang Yanmo sat alone at a table, drinking and talking about something. Fourth uncle, according to the information collected by the people of the Chamber of Commerce, there is only one Chamber of Commerce in Lu Nanchang, the Liunan Chamber of Commerce. Quote. The real person behind the Chamber of Commerce is Lu Tianan, many. Lu Tianan. Hearing this, Zhang Jingxin raised his eyebrows. He knew that Lu Tianan was guarding Liunan city with 1,000,000 heavy soldiers. It was no strange that the entire city was under the control of his Lu family. Aha, it is said that this person has the strength of the divine mansion realm and is extremely strong. We want to open up the situation in Lu Nanchang, it seems a little difficult. Oh, that's not necessarily. 33. Smiling gently, Zhang Jingxin looked at Zhang Yanmo, smiled meaningfully, nodded and said, let's visit one of the shops tomorrow and see the depth first. Quote. Aha. One night without words. Early the next morning. Bang. Zhang Jingxin and the others were about to go out, when suddenly, the entrance of the inn came. A group of armored soldiers rushed in, and the leader was a young man in a gorgeous costume. Lu Xiao, you are. Seeing that the young master of the Lu family was angry, the innkeeper hurriedly greeted him, respectfully and abnormally. Did they stay at your inn yesterday? Speaking, young master Lu's subordinates took out a portrait, which was Zhang Jingxin and Zhang Yanmo. Seeing this, the innkeeper nodded hurriedly. They did stay at the inn yesterday and asked for 5 upper rooms. Quote. Oh, very good, lead the way. Young master Lu immediately showed a sinister smile, which was very penetrating. Yes, Lu Xiao, please follow me. Bending down, the innkeeper was about to take them upstairs, but he didn't want to. Zhang Jingxin and they just came down the stairs. After seeing it clearly, the innkeeper stretched out his hand and pointed at the two and said, Lu Xiao, that's them. Boss, are you doing this out of order? On the stairs, Zhang Yanmo watched the whole thing from the sidelines, and he was very unfavorable to this boss who directly betrayed him, and glared angrily. The innkeeper smiled a little. Small business, our store can't afford to lose. Since you know Lu Xiao, the deposit you paid yesterday will be returned to you later. Offending customers to lose money or directly offending the land head dragon has no life. The innkeeper thinks it is a good choice. After all, he is not harmful. Zhang Yanmo and others will kill him. Cold. After sneering a few times, Zhang Yanmo stopped talking. Zhang Jingxin looked at Lu Xiao, his face calm. I don't know if this prince is. HMPH, open your dog's eyes and see. This is Lu Yuntian, the son of our Lu family, General Lu's own nephew. On the side, a dogleg immediately showed Lu Yuntian's identity, and his expression was very proud. Ignoring the dogleg's words, Zhang Jingxin said, Young Master Lu Yuntian, I don't know why I came here today. I heard that you killed my sister's love horse yesterday. The young man opened a folding fan and looked proud. It's me. Zhang Yanmo took a step forward, took the initiative to stand up and said, Yesterday, that woman was riding a horse on the street and almost injured someone, so I made a move. Quote. His eyes swept over Zhang Yanmo's body, and he found that he was more handsome and temperamental than himself, and his momentum was also very powerful, and Lu Yuntian's face was even more gloomy. This Nanliu city does not allow anyone better than him. Good. None of you have to go today. As soon as Lu Yuntian put away his fan, he sneered, Yang Hong, take them down for me. Yes, young master. Behind him, a soldier who looked like an officer heard this, and immediately surrounded Zhang Jingxin and others with more than a dozen subordinates, and said with a smile, Everyone, let's go. 99. Don't force me to do it, otherwise it will inevitably cause a meal of flesh and skin. 35. Lu Yuntian was also very confident, and after explaining the affairs of his subordinates, he walked out of the inn. Immediately, a subordinate brought tables and chairs to make tea for Lu Yuntian. This general, we had no intention of going against the Lu family, and yesterday was also an accident. We will bear the compensation. Humph. If you want to go, where is so much nonsense? Yang Hong snorted coldly, and the aura of the transformation spirit realm erupted from his body, and he was about to move towards Zhang Yanmo. Seeing this, Zhang Yanmo didn't say a word, and directly slapped it with a palm. Boom. The two collided and immediately smashed the stairs of the inn. Oh, guys, take it leisurely. The small shop is a small business, and it will cost a lot of silver to break it. The innkeeper wanted to say bitterness, but was glared back by Yang Hong. Turning back to stare at Zhang Yanmo, Yang Hong's expression was solemn. The brat in front of him, who doesn't look big, is actually about the same strength as himself. When did the Jaden realm reach so well? He didn't know that this was the result of Zhang Yanmo's intentional convergence. Otherwise, when Lu Tianan comes, he will also have to kneel. What? You want to be an enemy of the Lu family? You're just a domestic servant, dare to say that. 5. Originally angry because of the successive things, Zhang Yanmo did not stay behind, and directly moved towards Yang Hong again. Seeing this, Yang Hong could not be embarrassed, and hurriedly ordered his subordinates, go up together. Outside the inn, hearing the sound, Lu Yuntian's eyes were gloomy, and there was a cruel smile on his face. Provoke the Lu family, no matter who you are, you will all be executed. Crackle. Ouch. Suddenly, several figures flew out of the inn gate, and Lu Yuntian was just about to clap his hands and applaud, but found that it was Yang Hong and others who flew out. Immediately after, Zhang Jingxin, Zhang Yanmo and the others walked out of the inn. their faces cold. If you don't listen to what you say, don't blame us for making too heavy moves. Quote. Lu Yuntian was speechless. He heard about Lu Qianshan's grounding this morning, and after finding out the ins and outs, he brought Yang Hong with him. Unexpectedly, the other party was even stronger than Yang Hong. But how is this possible? Yang Hong seems to be a slave, but he is actually a family guest, and he only regards himself as a servant for some special reasons, but he has reached the peak of the Jaden realm. How is that possible? River. 63%. Chapter 249 Coming to Lufu together, the Zhang family advances, subscription required. Get out. A roar directly frightened Lu Yuntian back a few steps. However, after realizing that he was the Lu family, he forcibly supported Yang Hong and put down his cruel words. You guys wait, I'll bring someone to clean you up right away. Without saying a word, he slipped away with a group of soldiers. Wait until these people leave. When the Zhang family returned to the inn, Zhang Jingxin called the innkeeper and said with a smile, Boss, we will compensate for the damaged items in the inn according to the price. As for the previous deposit, there is no need to refund it, we will have to stay for a few more days. Quote. Let's go, you are not welcome in my little shop. Who knows, the boss looked like a catastrophe was coming, and drove Zhang Jingxin and the others out. The deposit will be returned to you, and you don't have to compensate for the loss of the inn. How far to go? I don't welcome you here. It can be seen from this that how famous the Lu family is in this South Willow City is personally afraid. Under some stalemate, when 333 saw that the boss was missing and refused to take him in, Zhang Jingxin had to frown and give up, sighing and saying, Yan Mo, let's go. 5. Yes, fourth uncle. Zhang Yanmo's eyes condensed slightly. The prestige of the Lu family in Nanliu City, he can be regarded as a thorough sight. They are the ones who dare to offend the Lu family. Aren't you leaving yet? Although it is powerful to defeat the real people of the Jaden realm, in front of the Lu family, it is far from enough. Shish, no matter what, it's a task we can't afford to mess with. On the street, many residents heard about what happened at the Liunan Inn and pointed to everyone and talked about it. However, when they met their eyes, they all looked sideways and did not dare to look directly. Fourth uncle, where are we going next? Several times in a row, Zhang Yanmo and the others did not find an inn for them to stay, and they were suddenly a little annoyed. Forget it. When Zhang Jingxin heard this, he looked in the direction of Lu Mansion, calculated in his heart, and said lightly, Now, I can only go to this Lu Mansion first. At that time, there will naturally be a place to live. Lu Mansion. Lu Tianan heard what his nephew Lu Yuntian had done, and he immediately called the butler in a righteous head, Go and bring that group of people. Sir, they are already heading for Fuchu. 35. Oh, good. Stunned for a moment, Lu Tianan's expression was immediately cold, and he sneered in his heart. At the gate of Lu Mansion, Zhang Jingxin and the others were about to enter with the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce, when they suddenly found that they had met an acquaintance. After stopping and waiting for someone to approach, Zhang Jingxin arched his hands slightly and said, Lord Shui, why are you here? Fourth young master. Shui Qiancheng was also shocked, and after seeing it clearly, he hurriedly gave a big salute. The old man came on the order of the king to talk about some things with General Lu. Oh, this is what Zhang Jingxin and the others did not expect. They did not expect Yishi to move so fast. Should I say that I am worthy of being the fourth aunt? Obviously, this is in cooperation with the development of the Zongjia Chamber of Commerce. After listening to Shui Qiancheng's explanation, Zhang Jingxin immediately understood and handed over here, trouble Lord Shui for a hard trip. 35. Fourth young master, don't dare to be it. Quote. Waving his hand slightly, Shui Qiancheng said, Lord Prince is not thin on my Shui family, how can the old minister not contribute to the Yanwang dynasty? I didn't know that the fourth young master was coming. Something. Quote. In that case, let's go in together. Quote. After a little pleasantries, the two sides walked towards Lu Fuzhong together. In the reception hall, Lu Tianan was sitting in a dangerous position, looking cold. Beside him was the lady who was supposed to be deposed, because the Sun of Luck became empty, and he did not drive it out for the time being. Sitting on the left are Lu Yuntian, who came to complain, and his father Lu Tianzhong. Big brother, Yuntian's breath, we can't swallow it. Lu Tianzhong, like his son, looked angry. Dare to do something in Liunan City, just don't put my Lu family in your eyes. Needless to say, I know it. Lu Tianan waved his hand slightly, and stopped what Lu Tianzhong said. However, a sinister color flashed from his eyes, and no one saw it. He, General Lu, long admire the daimyo. When they saw the comer, Lu Tianin and the others were shocked. He didn't expect that in addition to the group of people who shot in the inn, there were actually unexpected guests. Seeing that the other party was wearing the service of the Yanwang dynasty, Lu Tianin stared slightly. You are Yanwang dynasty coming? Oh, exactly. Shui Qiancheng nodded slightly, and opened his mouth to explain his intentions. Old man Shui Qiancheng, an old minister of the Yanwang dynasty. Seeing that Shui Qiancheng just nodded and did not salute, Lu Tianzheng's father and son wanted to reprimand. But seeing Lu Tianin's face as usual, he dismissed the idea. I came here today to discuss something with General Lu. What? Seeing Shui Qiancheng glance at Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian, Lu Tianin waved his hand. They are all their own family, so they don't have to leave. Then the old man said it directly. The king has an order to befriend General Lu. In the future, if the Yanwang dynasty and Liunan prefecture under General Lu's jurisdiction come and go freely, and each has its own knowledge, the king will reward General Lu extraordinarily. Snap. As soon as Shui Qiancheng's voice fell, Lu Tianin slapped the table at hand, full of anger. Shui Qiancheng, you are so bold. 9. On the side, Madame and Lu Tianzheng's father and son were also shocked, and there was more hostility in their eyes when they looked at Shui Qiancheng. Not all fools understand this. The Yanwang dynasty is planning to make a move against Liunanzhou, no, against the Lin dynasty. After all, the Lu family has a close relationship with the Lin dynasty and is an important minister, and Shui Qiancheng is digging into the corner of the Lin dynasty by doing this. Do you know what you're talking about? I know very well what the old man said, and I understand that General Lu knows what the old man means. 35. Just you. As a strong man in the divine mansion realm and the head of the six-pin family, Lu Tianin has his own momentum. Don't dare, it's just that the king ordered. As an old minister, I have to do it. With sharp eyes Shui Qiancheng so arrogant, Lu Tianin couldn't help but be angry. But he knew that such a move would not be good for Liunanzhou, so he immediately ordered, come, send guests. Immediately, he looked at Zhang Jingxin and a few others on the side. As for these people, press down and wait for the fall. Without waiting for Lu Tianin's subordinates to move, Shui Qiancheng stared straight at him with his eyes cold. General Lu, do you know, who are they? Who? Subconsciously, Lu Tianin did not let the soldiers tie people immediately. Because he saw that Shui Qiancheng seemed to be one step behind those two people. This is young master Zhang Jingxin, the fourth son of the prince, and this is the eldest grandson of the prince. Hearing this, Lu Tianin's pupils shrank, and his heart was shocked. He didn't expect that the grandson of Zhang Chushuan's son would dare to appear in the territory of the Lin 4.4 clan like this. General Lu, do you still want to do it? Lu Tianin's expression was very ugly, but he was speechless for a while. Although he is not afraid of the Yanwang dynasty, Zhang Chushuan, who is the person behind Wang Chao, is still a little jealous. After all, it will not be easy to quickly improve a family's grade in a short period of time and support the establishment of a dynasty. Here, send off. After thinking about it, Lu Tianin waved his hand with an ugly face and signaled them to leave. But at this time, Zhang Yanmo suddenly took a step forward and said loudly, stay step. When Lu Tianin turned around, Zhang Yanmo stared straight into the other party's eyes, without the slightest fear. This morning, this person took the soldiers to the place where I was waiting to make trouble, and now there is no place to stay. What should I do? 9. Lu Yuntian's face turned blue, and he immediately stood up and angrily rebuked Zhang Yanmo. You don't have to take an inch. 63%. Chapter 250 Deception is too much. Who is the praying mantis and who is the cicada? Yuntian. When Lu Tianzheng heard this, he immediately reached out and grabbed Lu Yuntian, shook his head and signaled him not to speak. The Zhang family and the Lu family are the first families of each dynasty, but the situation is different. The Lu family is the first family under the royal family of the Lin dynasty, and it is limited to the dynasty. The Zhang family is the first family above the Yanwang dynasty, controlling the entire dynasty and transcending things. Although the Yanwang dynasty only has one state, the background is only 7 of the 10 7-rank forces in Nanyangzhou, and it is just an ant in front of the Lu family. But the Zhang family is too powerful, and the fall of Lin Qingxian is proof of this. If it weren't for the Lu family having Lu Tianin, the millions of soldiers they still had in their hands, Shui Qiancheng and these came to recruit and surrender, they might have directly agreed. After all, thinking of the same level, a family against a dynasty of the same level does not have that strength. Father. Just when Lu Yuntian was about to say something, Lu Tianan cast a deep gaze towards Zhang Yanmo, and said squarely, later, General Ben will let a mansion be vacated below for you to stay. 39. No need. Zhang Jingxin waved his hand and refused directly, and said in a deep voice, it's over here, we should also go back. Thank you General Lu for your kindness, we won't bother. After saying that, Zhang Jingxin directly led the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce and Shui Qiancheng to leave the Lu mansion, and sold it to Lu Tianan to stay at all. The latter raised his hand several times to think about what O4 was going to do, but finally resisted. Boom. Too much deception. It's just too much deception. When Zhang Jingxin and his party all left, Lu Tianan suddenly smashed the table next to him, and his eyes were almost angry. The Zhang family deceives people too much, think that no one can deal with you. Come, send a message to Yi immediately. Yes, General. Lu Yi, the eldest daughter of Lu Tianan, has a noble status in the Lin dynasty. Big brother, this breath must not be swallowed. Lu Tianzheng's eyes flowed, and he seemed to have thought of something. Even if his Zhang family creates a Yanwang dynasty, our Lin dynasty can destroy it. 35. At that time, please ask the eldest brother to give me the opportunity to go to the Yanwang dynasty's hand-blade Zhang family. You don't need to say this, I will do it too. Lu Tianan waved his hand, his eyes looked far away, as if he wanted to see through the entire Liunan city. For a long time, he looked at Lu Yuntian and said, Yuntian, the disaster is caused by you, and you need to solve it yourself. Uncle, do you mean? Lu Yuntian was a little confused. Bring a storage ring, load the supplies, send it to the fourth son of the Zhang family, and apologize to the Zhang family and grandson. Uncle, Lu Yuntian was immediately shocked when he heard this. Although their Lu family can't help the Zhang family for the time being, they are not afraid, why bother to lower their voices like this? But Lu Tianan did not give him a chance to think. Do what I say. Yes, uncle. There was really no courage to resist. Lu Yuntian gritted his teeth and bowed his head and agreed. After Lu Tianzheng and his son left, Mrs. Lu Tianan suddenly came to him and said softly, Master, you can't swallow this breath like this. 5. What if you don't swallow it? The Lord just asked Yuntian to apologize, but it is our perfect opportunity. 5. Oh, 35. Suddenly, Lu Tianan became interested and asked, what opportunity? I'll just say it to the Lord. Madam was slightly happy in her heart, so she leaned into Lu Tianan's ear and said a few words. Hearing this, Lu Tianan's eyes lit up, and he also laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that the lady would have such a wise plan, and it actually coincided with me, but she is really my good lady. Coincidence. Mrs. Lu was stunned for a moment. Lu Tianan sneered and showed a gloomy face. You think I will be tied up? The Zhang family. The kind of rural upstart in Nanyangzhou. At the same time, the other side. Shui Qiancheng, Zhang Jingxin and the others did not stop at Liunan City anymore, they stopped in front of a shop with a teleportation array. After bending down to salute Zhang Jingxin, Shui Qiancheng arched his hand and said, Fourth young master, the old man still has to go to other cities, so he won't go with the young master. Aha, Master Shui go. Nodding slightly, Zhang Jingxin thought for a while and said, in the future, you can't be so reckless as you are today, and directly enter the mansion. Thank you for the relationship with the fourth young master, but you are overthinking. Shui Qiancheng smiled. He knew what Zhang Jingxin meant. If it weren't for the presence of the latter, he would most likely not be able to leave the Lu mansion today. But that's under normal circumstances. I have good things given by King Qin, so I'm afraid that the Lu family won't be in trouble. Shui Qiancheng took out a jade chain. Zhang Jingxin understood in seconds. Both parties then took their leave. After sending Shui Qiancheng away, Zhang Yanmo saw that Zhang Jingxin had no intention of leaving, and said curiously, Fourth uncle, aren't we leaving? 5. You'll know later. Quote, after selling a pass, Zhang Jingxin asked for a pot of tea and drank with Zhang Yanmo. Other members of the Yanwang Chamber of Commerce also found a place to sit down and waited patiently. Not long ago, there was a sound of horses' hooves on the street, and when Zhang Jingxin and they settled in front of the shop, they stopped. The next moment, Lu Yuntian rushed in with a group of people. After seeing Zhang Jingxin and the others, Lu Yuntian suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Two young masters, what happened this morning is something wrong with Yuntian. This is a little apology from Yuntian, I hope the two of you will accept it. Zhang Jingxin glanced at Zhang Yanmo, and then said, It's okay, it's all a misunderstanding. Seeing that Zhang Jingxin was unwilling to accept it, Lu Yuntian remembered the uncle's order, and immediately knelt down, his voice sincere. 2. If I don't accept this apology, Yuntian will have trouble sleeping and eating. He. In that case, then thank Lu Xiao. Where? Zhang Jingxin accepted the storage ring. Lu Yuntian lowered his head, and there was a taste of success in his eyes. After getting up, Lu Yuntian arched his hand towards the two and said, in that case, then Yuntian will not delay the time of the two. Bon voyage. Thank you. After Lu Yuntian left, Zhang Yanmo became even more curious about his fourth uncle. Fourth uncle, how do you know that he will come over to apologize and give gifts? Looking at the storage ring, in addition to spirit stones, there are also various heavenly materials and earth treasures of not low grade 337. After putting away the ring, Zhang Jingxin said to Zhang Yanmo, it's not that I know that he will come over to apologize, it's that I know that Lu Nanshan will send someone to apologize. Hearing fourth uncle say this, Zhang Yanmo became even more confused. However, without waiting for him to think, Zhang Jingxin patted him on the shoulder and said, the two of us don't need the teleportation array, let's go directly to the next place. The rest of you, go back to the royal city immediately and report this matter to my father. Yes, President. Seeing Zhang Jingxin pulling himself out, Zhang Yanmo seemed to understand something. Fourth uncle, are you trying to lure the snake out of the hole? Count you kid a little smart. Hearing this, Zhang Jingxin nodded slightly. Mantis cicada catcher, who is the praying mantis, who is the cicada, and who knows? Willow House. In a dark room, Lu Tianan was listening to the report of the man in black in front of him. The two of them went out of town alone and went the other way. Very good. After a moment, Lu Nanshan smiled coldly and said to himself, Zhang Jingxin, Zhang Yanmo, Lu Nancheng is not so good to come. Out of the city, Zhang Jingxin and Zhang Yanmo chatted without a ride. Soon after, Zhang Jingxin seemed to have discovered something and stopped. Fourth uncle, are they coming? Yes, just ahead. But I still didn't expect that they couldn't wait to be so close to Liunan City, and they would dare to do it. I guess they will definitely find a reason to hide the truth afterwards, what do you say? 63%. Chapter 251 Bullying my Zhang family. Then don't blame me for doing it. Stop. As soon as Zhang Jingxin's voice fell, without waiting for Zhang Yanmo to react, a group of people appeared in front of him. These people are riding horses, holding long swords in their hands, and their whole bodies are shrouded in black clothes, and their clothes have a strange aura emanating from them, dressed as killers. But this killer is not an ordinary killer, but a killer who walks the wrong path. You are the Zhang family who destroyed the old man of the blood coffin. Die. Several killers Lingling made a move, and they shot directly without saying a word. Everyone go up together. Help me take down the two of them for me. Yes. More than a dozen killers responded and immediately surrounded Zhang Jingxin's uncle and nephew, and only his eyes were exposed on his face wearing a mask, revealing fierceness. Yanmo, we are going to fight side by side. I've wanted to kill this killer for a long time. Fourth uncle, let's go. In the blink of an eye, Zhang Yanmo pulled out the saber at his waist and slashed at the killer leader. Although it seemed to be just a casual wave, the killer leader also took a few steps back. Zhang Yanmo's actions angered the killer leader, only to hear him shout angrily, sit down on the black horse with his legs between his legs, and kill Zhang Yanmo. Good to go. 39. Zhang Yanmo also wants to test his recent soaring strength, which is very suitable for these guys who kill people without blinking. With a flick of his toes, Zhang Yanmo's whole person flew into the air. The figure is like a falling leaf, constantly moving in the air, dodging the attack of the killer leader. Find the flaw. Crack the air. 35. Suddenly, Zhang Yanmo's body was parallel to the ground, and the whole person rotated, and then the knife intent was pervasive, stabbing towards the waist of the killer leader. Sting tilde operator. His clothes were punctured, and the killer leader's expression changed and he took a few steps back. Reaching out, the warm bright red liquid flowed down his waist. Good boy, you succeeded in me off. In the next moment, the surrounding wind surged, and countless spiritual energies rushed towards the killer leader. On the side, Zhang Jingxin, who was solving other killers, saw this, his face changed slightly, and he shouted at Zhang Yanmo, Yanmo, be careful, this guy hides his strength. Just be careful. The aura of this killer leader suddenly became strong, and his strength almost caught up with Lu Tianan, who was not weak in the realm of the divine mansion, but that was all. Although the third generation is not as evil as Zhang Chushuan, cross-level combat is not impossible. Juju, you too, you are going to die today. Seeing that the soldiers brought out today were almost solved by that Zhang Jingxin, Lu Songtao, who had a wonderful move, looked gloomy, and his determination was even firmer. He took some family dead men to pretend to be killers, and deliberately disguised themselves as evil cultivators, in order to take the lives of Zhang Jingxin's uncles and nephews, without worrying about being held accountable by the Yanwang dynasty. I thought it would be a breeze. But I didn't expect that the other party was just 2 people, and their strength had not reached the divine mansion realm, but their combat power was so amazing. There were no injuries at all, but their side first lost a lot of brothers. Inevitably losing more, Lu Songtao no longer hides his strength and intends to solve it quickly. Fine Willow Fu Wind. 99. As Lu Songtao waved the long sword in his hand, suddenly, the surrounding spiritual energy turned into invisible sword qi, directly rushing towards Zhang Jingxin's uncle and nephew. This is Lu Songtao's proud move. Although most of them usually kill enemies on a large scale on the battlefield, it seems to be a bit overkill to use on these two, but Lu Songtao doesn't care. Boom, boom. The sword qi collided, making a huge noise in the air. In an instant, the surrounding aura was disordered, and a small vacuum without aura was formed. Words, retreat. Zhang Jingxin solved the rest of the killers and suddenly dissuaded Zhang Yanmo from stopping. Fourth uncle, let me solve this guy. Zhang Yanmo still wants to fight again. Although Zhang Jingxin is Zhang Yanmo's fourth uncle and an elder, his strength is the other way around. This is also the reason why Zhang Yanmo has faced Lu Songtao from the beginning. Although the latter wants to be strong, Zhang Yanmo does not think he will lose. We didn't have to do it ourselves. 35. Leave some means to prepare for the aftermath. Zhang Jingxin shook his head and continued to persuade. His words made Lu Songtao even more angry in his heart, and he roared, "You too, it seems that you don't put me in your eyes. Give to death." 35. Suddenly, Lu Songtao moved with his sword again, his body was like the wind, and he constantly attacked Zhang Yanmojin. Phoenix 6. Without waiting for Zhang Yanmo to continue to resist Lu Songtang's blow, Zhang Jingxin suddenly spoke up. As the head of the Chamber of Commerce, he knows more about controlling his subordinates and letting the people below do things, otherwise how will the power be established? Do charity. This time, Zhang Chushuan did not send Zhang Jingshuan out. Zhang Jingxin had already understood his old man's intention, which was to cultivate some of Zhang Yanmo's ideas. Search. A man wearing a black robe appeared next to the two of them out of nowhere, with a mask embroidered with phoenix patterns on his chest. This masked man, named Feng Lu, is under the management of the Chamber of Commerce with Phoenix Wei, and is also trained by a strong man recruited by Zhang Chushuan. Whoosh. After Feng Lu appeared, he nodded slightly towards Zhang Jingxin, and then his gaze fell on Liu Songtao. Immediately, Feng Lu disappeared from the place like a ghost. When he reappeared, the person had already reached Lu Songtao's back. Danger. 35. A feeling of shock immediately rose. Lu Songtao's sweat hair suddenly exploded, and the whole person quickly moved sideways, wanting to avoid Feng Lu. But Feng Lu followed like a shadow, a dagger, so lightly pierced into Lu Songtao Dantian. Aha! Screaming, Lu Songtao sweated coldly, and he lowered his head blankly to look at his waist. The dagger came straight out of his back, and there was a trace of blood on the tip of the dagger. Immediately, he turned his head and looked at the masked man who suddenly appeared, his eyes full of disbelief. Pulling out the dagger lightly, Lu Songtao fell to the ground in response. After doing all this, Feng Lu didn't say much, just gave a slight hand to Zhang Jingxin's uncle and nephew, and then disappeared again. Quote. After more than a dozen breaths, Zhang Yanmo came back from the shock. Hee. Don't underestimate the strength of our Zhang family's secret guard. Gently patting Zhang Yanmo's shoulder, Zhang Jingxin took off the storage ring on Lu Songtao's body, found that there were still some valuable things in it, and put it away. The two ignored the corpses all over the ground and went directly into the distance. Not long ago, a group of soldiers appeared at the scene of the battle, and Lu Tianzhang, who was the leader, looked at Lu Songtao's corpse with a gloomy face. Pack up, I'll go see Big Brother. Yes. In Zongfu, a masked man was slightly bowing his head and reporting something to Zhang Chushuan. Soon after, Zhang Chushuan waved the dark guard to leave. Hee, bully my Zhang family. Since you refuse to surrender, then don't blame me for doing it. Randomly, a few more commands were issued from Zhang Chushuan, and the dark figure appeared and disappeared, and the room became quiet again. In a tea house in the Yanwang dynasty, Yun Xuanxian was sitting at a table on the street to rest. Sensing that someone was sitting down on the opposite side, Yun Xuanxian was about to say that there were people here, when he raised his head and suddenly found that the person who came was Yi Gujiao Shi. This queen will actually come to herself. Yun Zan's beautiful eyes moved slightly, but she didn't say anything, still looking at the scenery by the window and taking a sip of tea. Yi Shi did not rush to take the initiative to speak, waiting for a cup of tea to come down before saying, "Devouring the Holy Venerable, what have you gained recently?" "The Yanwang dynasty is very good." As if knowing what Zhang Chushuan wanted to ask, Yun Xuanjian put down the teacup, gently ruffled the broken hair between the sideburns with his right hand, and said softly, "It's better than any Yanwang dynasty I've seen before." 5. Also, don't call me the devouring venerable. Quote. I've been there, can I just call you Yun Xuanjian in the future? 35. Okay, Sister Yun. Yi Shi smiled shallowly, and suddenly said, after watching the Yanwang dynasty, are you interested in going out for a walk? Hearing this, Yun Xuanjian's gaze fell on Yi Shi, as if he wanted to see through what she was thinking. Seeing this, Yi Shishuan just smiled and said, anyway, in the future, they will all be a family, and the Yanwang dynasty has time to observe, so why don't you go out with my royal man, save us more sisters? 5. What did you say? Nothing, nothing. 63%. Chapter 252 Inviting each other, the strange mother and son 3 ask for subscription. Ahem, all in all, just promise it. Realizing that it was inappropriate to say something inappropriate at this moment, Yi Shi laughed. There was silence between the two again, and for a while, they waited until Zhang Chushuan came over before resuming the chat. At the end, Zhang Chushuan personally defended the invitation. It is said that the scenery over there in Nanluzhou is good recently, why don't you go and take a look? Yun Xuanxian thought for a few seconds, then nodded gently. Yes, I still don't know a little about the current time. With you, you can save a lot of trouble. When to leave? You wait here for a while, I'll go back. Zhang Chushuan did not give a direct answer and quickly left the tea house. Zhang Family Council Hall. Zhang Chushuan left only Nangong Mushui after arranging some things. Nangong Mushui didn't know what Zhang Chushuan had to do alone, but she still sat quietly and waited for him to open. Mu Shui, you have been frozen for so many years, and you haven't appeared to go shopping after waking up. Now, if you have a chance, why don't you go out and play? 35. Zhang Chushuan is not a man who likes the new and hates the old. The new love should continue to deepen the relationship, and the eldest wife cannot ignore it. Going out, Nangong Mushui pondered for a while and nodded. Yes, it is true that I haven't gone out with you for a long time. The Zhang family and the Yanwang dynasty have Yi Shi sitting in the town, and I can rest assured. Even at this time, Nangong Mushui still put several Zhang Chushuan's career and power in the first place. Zhang Chushuan was greatly moved. Bring Yan Ran 337 with you. Nangong Mushui thought for a while and added, it's still too early for her to go to Wenxin Academy, although she has been inherited in the secret realm, she still needs to digest it. 99. Building a car behind closed doors won't be good for Shouwei, just hang out with us. Quote. For Zhang Yanran, the eldest granddaughter, Nangong Mushui loved it from the bottom of her heart. This may be related to the continuity between the Tianian holy body and the Xuanian holy vein. Zhang Chushuan naturally would not refuse. But when the time is right, I still have to let Zhang Yanran go to Wenxin Academy, where there is a kind of ice, which can be described as valuable to Zhang Yanran. Then next, let's get ready to go. Half an hour later, Zhang Chushuan took Nangong Mushui together, plus Zhang Yanran, and walked side by side with Yun Xuano towards the legend set up in the royal city. This legendary array has been increased 100-fold, not only all over the major cities in Nanyangzhou, but also in some important cities outside Nanyangzhou. Let's go. Zhang Chushuan laughed. The group walked side by side, and in the blink of an eye, they came to the teleportation array in the royal city, and the teleportation array left together. With space beads present, Zhang Chushuan is not worried about the safety of the Zhang family and the Yanwang dynasty. Even if there are enemies that they can't solve, he can return as soon as possible and turn the tide. When there were still 2 cities away from Nanliu City, Zhang Chushuan suddenly proposed that he walk directly over without the teleportation array. For this, Yun Xuanjian has no objection. Anyway, she also wants to see more about what the situation is in the Xuantian continent in these 30,000 years. Nangong Mushui's children have never left Nanyangzhou. There are few people on the official road, and if there is generally a teleportation array, unless there are many people, few people choose the official road. Food is definitely not missing at this time. Zhang Chushuan casually went to the mountains to shoot a few rabbit-like fierce beasts, controlled the knife intent to skin the 2 rabbits, and raised a fire on the side of the road. After processing, it's time to show your craft. Nangong Mushui's children have begun to look forward to it, and they still remember Zhang Chushuan's superb craftsmanship, and there is also a part of the reason for their original love. After a while, the aroma of grilled meat permeated. Good people do good deeds. At this time, 3 poor men came up and begged. Is a ragged mother with 2 skinny children. The 3 of them all looked like dishes, and they looked like they hadn't eaten a full meal for a long time. The mother and son swallowed their saliva, their eyes staring at the roast rabbit, motionless. On the side, Nangong Mushui frowned, and wanted to take out some gold and silver from his arms for the mother and son 3. But thinking of the nearest city here, with their foot strength, I am afraid that there is still a long way to go. Maybe before they can get there, they will starve to death on the road, so they said to the 2, you guys wait a while. With that, she looked at Zhang Chushuan. It's okay. Zhang Chushuan shook his head gently. He thinks he is not a saint, but when he sees such a thing, he will still help. As for the meat of the fierce beast, the original amount is a lot. Cultivators eat meat more to satisfy their appetites, and they are not bad at this. Reaching out and touching a child's head, Zhang Chushuan said with a smile, don't worry, it'll be baked later. On the side, Yun Xuanxian watched all of Zhang Chushuan's actions, her beautiful eyes moving slightly, and she didn't know what she was thinking. Moments later, Zhang Chushuan handed one of the rabbits to his mother and motioned for the 3 of them to share the meal. Zhang Chushuan and the others also ate happily, and Nangong Mushui couldn't help but sigh. Speaking of which, I haven't eaten barbecue for a long time. Well, it tastes good. Because my eyes narrowed. A large pile of roast rabbit meat quickly entered everyone's mouths. Zhang Yanran finally wrapped the remaining rabbit meat in clean leaves, placed it in front of the mother, and said softly, eat it on the road later. Without saying a word, she groped for another piece of silver and threw it over. This silver is nothing to cultivators. But for these 3 ordinary people, it means life. You put these away, and when you go to the city, change into better clothes, buy a house to live in, and don't have to wander and beg. 99. Thank you for the good man, thank you for the good man. Seeing this, the mother hurriedly kowtowed to Yun Xuanjian and bowed down. On the side, the 2 children hurriedly learned, biting rabbit meat in their mouths and kowtowing vigorously. Reaching out to help them up, Yun Zan smiled. It's nothing, it's all a small thing. The 2 waited quietly for the mother and son to finish eating, and then got up and headed towards the nearby city. After walking a few steps, the mother holding the child suddenly turned around and said to Zhang Chushuan and the 2, thank you for the saving grace of a few good people. We came from the village under the forest, a village in the south, 7 days away from here. I heard the ancestors say that there are treasures in the back mountains of the village, but no one has been there, because none of the people who went have returned. A few good people can go and see if they have time, but don't go deeper, there will be danger. Thank you. After the mother finished speaking, she thanked Zhang Chushuan again before leaving. How believable do you think she said? Huh. Yun Xuanjian was a little puzzled by this question, but after seeing Zhang Chushuan's serious look, he thought about it seriously. After going through the encounter before and after, Yun Xuanjian spoke up, it should be true. Okay, let's go and see. The 7-day journey in Mother's Mouth was for them mortals, who were still hungry mortals. Zhang Chushuan took the clouds all the way, and in only half an hour, he arrived at the so-called forest village. The village is quiet and there is cooking smoke rising. From time to time, there was a dog barking and the sound of children fighting. Everything, very peaceful. Walking through the fields, the 2 came to the gate of the village. Under the tree at the entrance of the village, several old people were taking a dip, and when they saw the 2 of them, they all involuntarily got up and looked at them. Zhang Chushuan just glanced at it, then walked over with a smile. Old man, we are passing by, but we got lost and came here unknowingly, can we spend the night? 35. Listening to Zhang Chushuan's words, Yun Xuanjian was even more puzzled in her heart. Didn't you go directly to the back mountains to find the treasure that my mother said? How did you get close to the villagers? 64%. Chapter 253. The difference between inside and outside, naturally and secretly appearing in the world. Subscription required. It's a guest from afar, and a few young ladies must also be from a big family. If you don't dislike the simple conditions in the village, it doesn't hurt to stay for one night. A kind-hearted old man looked hospitable and welcomed the arrival of Zhang Chushuan and others. Naturally, Everyone will not refuse. Thank you, uncle. Led by one of the old men, Zhang Chushuan and several people were taken to a unique independent wooden building. The interior of the wooden building is not necessary, it looks very clean, or the trees are exquisite, it looks like it has been specially prepared. This is it, everyone rest first, I will arrange for the villagers to send it over at dinner later, I hope you will not dislike it. 35. The old man was really hospitable and sent out an invitation for dinner. How come? Zhang Chushuan and others will certainly not refuse, come out to play a chance, Shungsan. After the old man left, Nangong Mushui finally couldn't help but be curious in her heart, and took the initiative to ask, Fujun, Wang Ying has a moment, this is an ordinary village, what do you want to do? Do you think what the mother and son said just now is true or false? Zhang Chushuan asked rhetorically. For a while, Nangong Mushui was speechless. If what they say is true, it doesn't look like a food shortage, and the villagers are self-sufficient. But if it is false, it is impossible to say this position, and there is no flaw in releasing the divine thought. You mean, there's something wrong with one of them? I'm inclined to the mother and son. Zhang Chushuan said meaningfully. Looking at his expression, Yun Xuanjian and the women instantly understood and did not say more. The time passed quickly, and it was time for dinner. A 15 or 16-year-old boy brought an ordinary but very delicate-looking dinner, rice, vegetables, ordinary meat, but the preparation method was interesting. When he saw the faces of Nangong Mushui and Yun Xuanjian through the veil, this child couldn't help but be stunned, looking like he had never seen the world. After putting down the food with a sluggish look, he waited until his steps were messy to leave the wooden square, and he returned to some normality. Good craftsmanship. Zhang Chushuan smiled and praised, picked up the bowl and prepared to eat. Seeing this, Yun Xuanxian couldn't help but wonder, didn't you say, this village? At this time, she is in a soul state, and her appetite cannot be satisfied. There is a problem in the village, but there is no problem with this food, we come out to play, isn't it, to see the customs? This country dish also has a special flavor. Quote. Zhang Chushuan is a bold artist, doesn't care about the small section at all, and asks towards Yun Xuanjian as he speaks, do you eat or not? If you don't eat, Mu Shui and I will separate. Yun Xuanjian, she is a spirit, eat a hammer. You guys eat. Yun Xuanjian shook her head slightly, turned around and walked to the door. The village is very peaceful at this time, there are more cooking smokes, the laughter of children has disappeared, and even the dogs in the village have quieted down, presumably eating dinner quietly. Zhang Chushuan and Nangong Mushui slowly sorted out the food, and really had a pleasant feeling of coming out to play. When she finished eating, Nangong Mushui walked to Yun Xuanjian's side, and said with bright eyes, don't worry, you will know the truth of the matter soon. Under a spooky atmosphere, late at night, the three of them suddenly walked out of the wooden building and wandered around the village. Surprisingly, there are no lights in every house. The village was so quiet that no sound could be heard. At this time, in the middle of summer, between such mountains and forests, there should be no shortage of insects and beasts to negotiate, but it is also unheard at this moment. It's late at night, it's better not to wander around the village. Suddenly, an old man appeared behind the two silently. The eyes of the three people condensed slightly. Old man, it's just dark this day, why is it late at night? Facing Zhang Chushuan, the wrinkles on the old man's face piled up, and he slowly spoke, it's late at night, it's best not to walk around the village. Still what he said just now, the old man fluttered away after speaking, without making a single movement. Watching the old man leave, Zhang Chushuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and suddenly said, let's go to the back mountain to have a look. Good. The two women nodded in agreement. The back mountains are lush and airtight, and there are no trails to walk. But this is not difficult for Zhang Chushuan. When the two passed a giant tree, the surrounding space seemed to fluctuate a little, but Zhang Chushuan didn't seem to notice it and continued to walk. Suddenly in front of him, a valley immediately appeared in front of the two of them. Through the dim light, Zhang Chushuan saw that an identical mountain village appeared in front of them. Here it is. Faced with Yun Xuanjian's doubts, the corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth curled up. If that's right, this is the forest village among the female population, the real forest village. Quote. It seems to be a natural secret place, otherwise we won't even be able to detect you. Yun Xuanxian spoke at the right time. Only a natural secret place can conceal the strong induction. That kind of feeling is like a stone on the side of the road, and ordinary people will not pay attention. Woof, woof tilde operator. As soon as the three of them stepped forward, the village dogs immediately barked. Suddenly, Zhang Chushuan's eyes seemed to have a hint of killing intent, and a palm burst out, and the village was razed to the ground, and the surroundings immediately became quiet. Boom! Suddenly, the entire valley shook, and the surrounding trees were also stopped and broken, falling towards the valley. The shaking lasted for half a quarter of an hour, and then a dazzling white light enveloped the valley, including Zhang Chushuan and Yun Xuanxiao. 0. Yun Xuanjian and Nangong Mushui's faces remained unchanged. Needless to say, Zhang Chushuan must have touched some kind of formation here. As the light shone, one after another mysterious runes flew in the air, as if there was life, and soon connected together. In the middle of the original village, a sudden burst of light burst into the sky, reaching the sky, and soon as the eye could see, it was not at the end. The dark night sky was instantly illuminated, and the light on the faces of the two flickered, and they had been waiting quietly. After half a quarter of an hour, the various runes of the large array slowly dissipated, but the pillar of light in the middle still filled this heaven and earth. The situation here quickly attracted the attention of various monks nearby. A pillar of light appears day and night. Look, there are treasures in the world. It must be a peerless treasure. Go quickly, go late and lose a lot. Nanliu City also saw the pillar of light here because it was not too far from here. Lu Fu, Lu Tianan looked gloomy. The manpower sent to intercept Zhang Jingxin's uncle and nephew was not left, and all of them were damaged. He cannot care about the rest, but Lu Songtao is an important person in the Lu family, and his strength is only below him, and he is still a good hand in leading troops to fight, and he is a general in his hands. On weekdays, for some hours, Lu Tianan is handed over to Lu Songtao to take care of. He was furious at being killed. What's going on? The pillar of light soared into the sky, and the entire Liunan city saw that light, and Lu Tianan found it for the first time, strode out of the room, staring at the pillar of light in the sky and contemplating. Big brother, I don't know when, Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian's father and son have come to him. I just got the news. It seems that a treasure inheritance has appeared in a wasteland somewhere, and many cultivators have already heard the wind and rushed over. 99. Well, I see. Seeing Lu Tianan so calm, Lu Tianzheng's voice was a little anxious. Shall we also send someone to check and get the treasure back? Lu Tianan was silent, and just when Lu Tian was waiting impatiently, he slowly spoke. Let's go, hurry up. 99. Just the three of us. Lu Tianzheng felt that since it was a peerless treasure, he had to send a large army to control the surroundings and let the Lu family enjoy them alone. But Lu Tianan did not give him a chance to solve his confusion, and immediately soared into the sky and headed towards the pillar of light. Seeing this, Lu Tian gritted his teeth and took Lu Yuntian with him. Let's go. Zhang Chushuan originally wanted to approach the pillar of light with Yun Xuanjian and crack the secret. But when he was 10 feet away, Zhang Chushuan could not take a step forward, even if it was useless to mobilize the devouring rune. This secret place. Year. It seems that you can only wait. River. 64%. Chapter 254 Driving the Wolf and Devouring the Tiger. Holy Lord level spiritual weapon. That level of light pillar. Is there a Saint Lord level strange thing about to be born? Hey, Holy Lord level, even the people of the royal family will be moved. 35. Now the dynasty is besieged on all sides, there are wars everywhere, and the royal family is afraid that it will not be able to come over and get a piece of the pie. 5. This is an opportunity for all forces in our South Luzhou. In this troubled world, there are enough opportunities, and it is not impossible to replace the Lin family on the throne. On this night, countless 6th rank and 7th rank forces in and around Nanliu City were shaken. Most of the cultivators in the city who were strong in their own strength went out one after another to compete for the treasure. Some monks passing by, after noticing the movement around them, also changed their itinerary and came to the forest village. Someone actually came first. Quote, the monk who first noticed this pillar of light and was closest to him only took a few hours to hurry, and arrived at the forest village just at the break of dawn. As soon as these people arrived at the scene, they threw a certain official at Zhang Chushuan and the three, and they stopped, looking unkind. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them were also standing far away from the pillar of light and did not move, these cultivators might have to do it. 340. Big brother, why does this man look a little familiar? It was close to 10 o'clock at noon, and Lu Tianan and the three also rushed here and stopped. Lu Tianzheng immediately focused on Zhang Chushuan. Sensing the gaze of the divine mansion realm level, Zhang Chushuan, who was chatting with the two daughters of Yunzan Nangong Mushui, slowly turned his head and met Lu Tianan's gaze, and couldn't help but show a smile. It's him. Lu Tianan's whole body trembled, and he recognized Zhang Chushuan in just an instant. The latter killed Lin Chuan, and all forces near Nanyangzhou have checked the battle photos, and they are familiar with Zhang Chushuan's face. This is the existence that led to the almost extinction of the Lin dynasty. For the Lu family, which is a relative of the emperor, it is also a big blow. Just half a step to the divine mansion realm, actually dare to come to my Lin dynasty Fang Weini. Lu Tianan clenched his fists and couldn't wait to immediately wipe Zhang Chushuan on the spot. In his opening, the latter was able to kill Lin Chichi, completely with the help of dynastic luck, that is, geography, and then comprehended the sword intent. Being able to comprehend the sword intent, Zhang Chushuan King realm is promising, and it is indeed very powerful. But in this Lin dynasty's territory, he had countless ways to erase it. However, reason told him that he had to wait until he got the peerless treasure before he could do it, and then he would definitely be able to crush Zhang Chushuan. Otherwise, it is easy for the two tigers to compete and let other ants have strength. Big brother, we. Faced with Lu Tianzheng's doubts, Lu Tianan just shook his head and did not speak. More and more monks gathered around the valley, and there was no shortage of people from various families. When they saw Lu Tianan and the others, they all distanced themselves from them. Peerless treasures are obtained by those who have the ability. In the past, these 7-rank and 8-pin families would definitely come forward to show their faces. Even being able to say a few words with Lu Tianan will also be of great benefit to the development of the family in the future. But at this time, no one moved. Sensing the movement around him, Lu Tianan looked at the heads of those families. Snipe muscles compete, so that fisherman profit will definitely not work. But to drive the wolf and devour the tiger, and then the tiger can. His Lu family is in this area, and he also has the ability. Gentlemen, General Ben has something to discuss with you, come and talk about it. Lu Tianan suddenly spoke, and the heads of the major families immediately smiled bitterly. Although Lu Tianan's attitude is better, everyone knows that this is a skin with a tiger, and there will be no bone residue left that will definitely be eaten in the end. In desperation, the heads of the family came to Lu Tianan's side one after another. Looking at the dozen or so people in front of him, Lu Tianan said to them, when the treasure inheritance is opened, my Lu family will not restrict you from competing for it. Babies who are pure deception. The heads of the family did not know whether it was false or not, and their hearts were immediately happy, and there were doubts. But then Lu Tianan's words made them wonder about the answer at the same time, and at the same time, they were a little helpless. But there is only one condition, no matter what, the first two must be taken by General Ben. Otherwise, you families will have no need to exist. 35. Naked threats. The heads of the family dared to be angry and did not dare to speak, and they hugged their fists and agreed to come down. One of the patriarchs of the Kipin family boldly walked to Lu Tianan's side and cautiously, General Lu, I don't know if those two are General Ben's enemy. At this moment, the eyes of the family masters looking at Zhang Chushuan and Yun Xuanjian were a little more solemn. Although Lu Tianan has no shortage of intentions to test the strength of the other party with their group of family owners, how can it be easy to become Lu Tianan's enemy? Yes. However, the family owners had no choice but to agree to come down. After saying that, Lu Tianan's body moved with the wind, and after a while, he came to Zhang Chushuan not far away, standing side by side. Oh, this is General Lu Tian Nanliu. Zhang Chushuan asked knowingly, with some mockery in his expression. Humph. But Lu Tianan just snorted coldly, did not speak, and looked directly at the pillar of light in front of him. At noon, there were already monks who couldn't wait and wanted to approach the pillar of light. Go, it's not a matter of waiting like this. Yes, I don't know when the treasure will appear. The more people come, the less chance we have and we can't wait. So, a group of cultivators were bold and headed towards the pillar of light. When passing by Lu Tianan's side, they saluted one after another, confessed, and then continued to move forward. This oppression must have a peerless treasure. This wave is not a loss, ha ha ha. When getting closer and closer to the pillar of light, the cultivator found that the pressure exerted on his body was increasing, but everyone did not retreat, on the contrary, they looked excited. Apart from peerless treasures, what can exude such coercion? ABAJ. Just as these cultivators were surprised, a person who was the first to approach the 15th mile away from the pillar of light suddenly erupted into a scream. All the streets his body was torn apart in the world, turning into blood and falling to the ground in the blink of an eye. Quote. Isn't that scary? It seems that General Liu understands the reason, so he does not move. Hurry up and go, I don't want to give my life here. For a while, the cultivators who originally wanted to do a big job suddenly dispersed like birds and beasts, away from the pillar of light. Zhang Chushuan did not rush to make a move. Lu Tianan looked in his eyes, did not speak. Each Muang transferred to a Keepan family head who turned 4 times in the Jaden realm, slightly revealed the majesty of the true monarch, and ordered, "You pass." Yes, General Ryu. 95. It was Lu Feng, the head of the Lu family in Liunan City, who was pointed, although he had a heart. Can't. The Lu family is known for formations, so Lu Tianan named him at this time. Lu Feng didn't feel strange, just asked that this natural big formation in front of him was not too difficult. While walking forward, Lu Feng changed direction, buried some heavenly materials and earth treasures around the pillar of light, and slowly approached. 15 Zhang. Everyone held their breath and didn't blink. 10 Zhang. The monks breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts, but they were also worried. Gojo. There were already monks who were about to move, slowly approaching. Ichija. Walking here, Lu Feng did not move. At this time, his old face was covered with sweat, and his clothes behind him were soaked. In fact, when he arrived here, Lu Feng knew that he could not go any further, otherwise his life would not be guaranteed. But there was Lu Tianan staring at the back, and he had to continue. Let's go too. Treasures are obtained by those who are powerful, and everyone must not touch each other before entering. Don't worry, before I saw the treasure, you and I were friendly. Quote. 4.4 Patriarch Lu, why didn't you move? When Lu Feng was less than an arm's length away from the pillar of light, he stopped. Lu Feng's legs trembled, and his heart was raised to his throat and eyes, and he did not dare to move again. Hearing Lu Tianan's question, Lu Feng turned his back to him and smiled bitterly. General Liu, the old man is incompetent, he must not take a step forward, and please ask the army. Who knew that Lu Tianan did not give Lu Feng the opportunity to beg for mercy, and said coldly, even if you go, if there is an accident, General Ben will protect your family from destruction. Quote. With assurance, Lu Feng took a deep breath, thanked Lu Tianan, and then raised his foot again. It seems that family heirlooms have to be used. Lu Feng turned his back to everyone, and he took out an ancient Xuanji disc at this time. This array disc used to be a holy master weapon, but now it is somewhat broken, and it is also a heaven-level spiritual weapon, and it is still the best in the heavenly rank. If it weren't for the fact that this spiritual weapon could only be used by the Lu family, it would have been snatched away long ago. It was with the help of the array that the Lu family had a foothold in Liunan City. Old fellow, I can only sacrifice you. 64%. Chapter 255. The Land of the Lu family's Inheritance. Zhang Chushuan. I said his surname was Zhang. Heaven and earth are infinite, thousands of miles of shuttle. Lu Feng sighed inwardly, urged the natal life essence blood formation to take out the array, placed it in front of him, quickly pinched his hands to understand the tricks, and his footsteps continued to rotate around the pillar of light. It's just that he moves very slowly and feels very strenuous. Click. It seemed to fulfill what Lu Feng said earlier. The Xuanji disc only lasted for a quarter of an hour, and then it shattered with a bang. Quote. At the same time, Lu Feng himself also snorted, and blood immediately spurted out of his mouth, and his breath was weak. The body involuntarily flew backwards. Lu Feng's expression was dim, and his heart was like dead ashes. Even with the use of family heirlooms, he still failed to break through the formation in front of this pillar of light, and now, all of them are gone. A cultivator who was friendly with the Lu family immediately picked up Lu Feng and went to the side to rest. Interesting. Zhang Chushuan's eyes narrowed slightly. The Xuanji disc is very strong, with the ability to forcibly crack all formations. If it weren't for the fact that the Xuanji disc had been shattered, as long as some spirit stones were consumed, this large array in front of him could be opened, but unfortunately this in the hands of the Lu family had long destroyed the core and could only be used as a disposable prop. Failed. Someone nearly. In terms of cracking the formation, even Lu Tianan, the true monarch of the Divine Mansion realm, is not as reliable as Lu Feng. This is in front of you. After all, it is the Saint Lord level. Boom. Just as everyone was in a low mood and ready to wait, suddenly, there was a sound at the pillar of light. Immediately after, with the light pillar as the center, it began to vibrate, and the frequency became faster and faster, and it became more and more intense. Click 04. There seemed to be a sound of glass shattering, and everyone saw the pillar of light slowly dissipate until the last bit of light disappeared. This is a natural secret enchantment that has been broken. After countless momentary stunned thoughts, their eyes became very hot. Let's go. The treasure inheritance is open. Rush. First come, first served. Don't die. General Lu is still ahead. At this time, who cares about this? Countless cultivators shouted and attacked, and some were afraid of Lu Tianan and spoke out to stop the fanatical cultivators, but they were unsuccessful. They rushed into the hole after the pillar of light dissipated. And Lu Tianan saw several cultivators disappear from the entrance of the cave, and there was no accident, so he left. Before leaving, he glanced at Zhang Chushuan with a gloomy expression, hiding killing intent. In this regard, Zhang Chushuan chose countless choices. Let's go in too. After the monks had almost entered, Zhang Chushuan spoke to the two women beside him. The two women nodded obediently. Although this secret place was triggered by them, they were in no hurry to enter. Sometimes, it's not like the sooner you enter, the more you get. Strength is fundamental. Hopefully, it's best if Lu Tianan got the treasure. Zhang Chushuan said meaningfully. The three of them were the last to jump into the cave, and there were no more monks in the entire valley. What followed was a long passage, and the three of them only felt that the whole person was falling, and there was no end. But all three of them had been tested by the devouring rune and did not take this situation seriously at all. Nangong Mushui also has devouring holy runes. Zhang Chushuan treats all his women equally. After all, they do not suffer from widowhood and unevenness. A natural and secret passage to the outside world, as to how long, can only be known at the end. Estimating the time of his fall, Zhang Chushuan's heart was also shaken. The length of this passage is comparable to that of a county. After a quarter of an hour, a bright light appeared in front of them. It seems that the exit is coming. After a few seconds, Zhang Chushuan landed on his feet and looked around. It is a plain with blue skies and full of spirit. Taking a deep breath, Zhang Chushuan said happily, "This secret place is much larger than usual, if only it could be packed and taken away." These words were exchanged for a roll of the eyes of the two women. If you want to move a space, it is the emperor's means. There were no other cultivators around, and they must have scattered long after landing, looking for opportunities and treasures. The three Zhang Chushuan were also surprised. That direction. 99. Zhang Chushuan's mind was released and quickly locked on Lu Tianan. Go, keep up with them. He had a hunch that this was secretly related to Lu Tianan and others. Now that he is also a child of luck, this kind of induction is more believable. Uncle, the two of them are coming up, do we want to? Don't bother, they're going to die sooner or later. 35. Lu Tianan and the others quickly noticed the appearance of Zhang Chushuan behind, and a gloomy smile appeared on their faces, which made Lu Yuntian shocked, and then did not dare to speak, and buried his head in the way. One after the other, the two sides crossed the entire plain with all their might. After half a day of rushing, I finally stopped in front of a lake. Many people have gathered here, but no one has taken the lead in descending the lake. Because the lake is black, it is very cold. Some cultivators were curious and tentative, and found that the cold immediately invaded the meridians in the body. The speed of absorbing Reiki also slowed down, and I felt that my whole body was condensed. After Lu Tianan arrived, he shouted to all the cultivators, "Everyone, this is the place where my Lu family inherits, please leave quickly." 35. The opening is the place where his Lu family inherits, absolute banditry. Countless people's faces changed. They didn't spend their time here to hear that. General, they all say that treasures have fate in those who are able to get them. It seems inappropriate for you to say that, right? That's it, General Ryu, you can't drive us away. Before entering the secret land, everyone was willing to give Lu Tianan face, but now that the treasure may be ahead, they don't want to give in. Although Lu Tianan is powerful, the law does not blame the public. HMPH. Lu Tianan's tough attitude was beyond all expectations, and he directly wiped out the three people who spoke at the beginning. In an instant, the faces of the cultivators changed drastically, and they hurriedly retreated. But even so, they don't want to give up their greed for the secret land. Lu Tianan was stunned for a moment, and took out a dark gold willow leaf exuding a mysterious aura from his arms. I saw Lu Tianan throw the willow leaves and fall into the lake. Then he clasped his hands together and chanted obscure incantations in his mouth. Gollum. The calm lake began to bubble and the noise became more and more violent. Shish. Seeing this scene, including Zhang Chushuan, everyone was stunned for a while. Is this really the inheritance of the Lu family? But still no one left. The fantasy world, after all, is strength speaking. Someone else's, or your own. Zhang Chushuan said that the surname here is Zhang. O tilde operator. A quarter of an hour later, Lu Tianan stopped his behavior, and a strange energy vortex appeared in the lake, enveloping the lake. Seeing this, Lu Tianan immediately jumped down with Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian. Interesting. Zhang Chushuan exchanged a look with the two women and followed directly. Seeing this, the rest of the cultivators gritted their teeth boldly and entered it, while the rest scattered in all directions, looking for other opportunities. 340 At the bottom of the lake is very cold, and as soon as it comes, there is a cold air rushing towards you. But those who can come here are all strong, and they are naturally not afraid. Tick, tick. Black lake water drips into puddles and ripples. Everyone was walking around at the bottom of the lake, unable to find their way. But the Lu family does seem to know this secret place, the inheritor of the treasure, and the purpose is clear. The three of them did not stop for a moment, and one walked towards the bottom of the lake. Not long after, they stopped in front of a bulging silt. I didn't expect to find this, I thought it was just a family legend. 99. Haha, it's really heaven helping my Lu family. Lu Tianan's face showed ecstasy. He reached out to wipe away the silt, and a stone appeared in front of the three with a palm print on it. After biting his fingertips and smearing blood into his palm print, Lu Tianan also put his palm up. Click, click, click. Suddenly, the bottom of the lake shook. Just when everyone was in doubt, an ancient palace appeared at the bottom of the lake. Tianzheng, Yuntian, this is the secret of my Lu family, only the previous patriarchs can know it. Big brother, what's here? Yes, uncle. At this time, the two did not doubt what Lu Tianan said earlier. Hee, you will know if you go in with me. The guy in the back. Let them follow, you won't get anything, let's go. Lu Tianan is very confident. Lu Tianzheng's father and son immediately relaxed and entered together. Zhang Chushuan stopped at the entrance of the palace for a moment, his eyes passed on the two ghost-like sculptures, and he couldn't help but narrow his eyes. This place, it's kind of interesting. 64%. Chapter 256 Recently stabbed the Devil's Den. Spooky space. Heaven and earth are leisurely, eternal existence. Hut tilde operator. At the gate of the palace, these 8 characters are engraved on the left and right under the ghost head sculpture, which seems to tell its antiquity. But the three of Zhang Chushuan held the devouring saint rune, and they had a deep understanding of the true antiquity, and they really didn't feel too powerful here. Even the power of the great emperor is not available, and he dares to call it ancient. Let's go. Zhang Chushuan sneered and entered with the two women. Buzz. Stepping into the palace gate, the sky swirled. Although the three Zhang Chushuan followed Lu Tianan and the three into it, they really entered the palace but could not find their trace in the blink of an eye. It's a little interesting. 35. Zhang Chushuan snorted coldly, bowed his hand to bind the time and space transfer, and took the two women into the same environment. The monks who followed them later entered different places. There are fierce beasts everywhere, there are fierce flames, and there is a full of aura. Everyone saw it differently, and even worse, they were annihilated by infinite power the moment they entered the palace and turned into flying ash. Uncle, my Lu family still has such a secret realm, why has it always been only a 6-rank family and loyal to the Lin dynasty? Also staying together are Lu Tianan and the three. Hearing Lu Yuntian's question, Lu Tianan smiled. As you can see, if the secret realm is not triggered, it is impossible to be discovered. Quote. The Ancestor once explained the clues of every family master, and the secret realm is near Liunan City. But the exact location, no one knows. At that time, the Lu family was in decline, the strength was insufficient, it was impossible to keep the secret realm, so I simply did not look for it. 99. This is also the foundation of my Lu family's defense of Liunan City for generations and loyalty to the Lin dynasty. Speaking, Lu Tianan's face showed a smug look. But now is different, the secret realm is opened, and my Lu family will also soar into the sky. 55. When Lu Yuntian heard this, he and his father Lu Tian looked at each other, and their feverish color was overflowing with words. After they entered the palace, they did not experience the transformation of heaven and earth, but found that there was a hole in the sky, and what appeared in front of them was a mountain. Walking in the valley, they can faintly feel a hint of attraction. It is from the blood connection, no matter how much time passes, it cannot disappear. While the three of them were talking and laughing, their figures gradually disappeared into the depths of the valley. 55. The three Zhang Chushuan appeared in a place similar to a secret room, with a statue in the center of the secret room. This is similar to the statue at the entrance of the main hall, but it is even more majestic. There was a gloomy aura emanating from the surroundings. This power. Zhang Chushuan frowned slightly, looking at the statue in front of him in deep thought. There is some special power here. On the side, Yun Xuanjian suddenly spoke, her expression a little solemn. Zhang Chushuan nodded, his brows wrinkled slightly. I also feel this way, but I can't find the source. Even when he secretly invoked the devouring saint rune, there was no gain. This world does not seem to exist in Xuantianda. I feel that we are inside this statue. Because of tens of thousands of years of suppressing the 7th Emperor Venerable, Yun Xuanjian was more familiar with this aspect. If I guess correctly, this stone statue may have to absorb something to completely activate and then awaken a certain existence. Now it's an ordinary statue. Oh, Zhang Chushuan suddenly became interested and asked, if I destroy this statue, the existence hidden in it will wake up. It's possible. Yun Xuanxian nodded. Try it over there. Zhang Chushuan's eyes were bloodthirsty, and without saying a word, he drew his saber. For a time, the knife intent was pervasive. Boom. If the sound of friction occurs when hard metal collides, the knife chi only leaves a shallow white mark on the stone statue and dissipates. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan squinted slightly. It seems that this stone statue is even harder than I thought, at least it is cast from heavenly order ore. The knife just now only used a fraction of force, but it also used the sword intent. This ore cannot be cut, and in addition to forging, the material is not ordinary. With the appearance of the palace, more and more monks have discovered it, and more people have entered it. The unlucky ones were swallowed up everywhere as soon as they entered the palace, and those who were lucky enough to be able to save their lives and continue to look for opportunities. There seemed to be a slight sound, and the stone statue in front of Zhang Chushuan and the two flashed a faint red light in his eyes, and quickly disappeared. The three Zhang Chushuan did not seem to notice this situation, scattered around the stone statue, as if they were looking for something, so they did not notice the change here. Found one. After Zhang Chushuan tried it with a knife, it was determined that there was a formation engraved on the statue to ensure that the stone statue was not destroyed, and the three of them searched separately. Forcible sabotage. There is no need. Sure enough, the effort paid off, and a moment later, Yun Xuanjian found a black stone. It's the size of a fist, but heavier than an elephant. Presumably, this is one of the materials, but at this time, it was dug out by Yun Xuanjian, and the formation should have been destroyed a little. Although it has not completely broken the formation, its power cannot be as complete as when it is complete. What kind of stone is this? Zhang Chushuan asked towards the clouds. Treat each other completely as an encyclopedia. I don't know. 9. Yun Xuanxian showed a speechless expression. Although she existed 30,000 years ago, it actually took less than 50 years to rise, and she was sealed in the Holy Land after that. The strength is strong, and after the Holy Land is integrated, the insight has also increased a lot. But compared to some real old antiques, it is too far away. Shouldn't Zhang Chushuan, the reincarnation of a quasi-emperor, know more than himself? Cough. Zhang Chushuan understood the meaning in Yun Xuanjian's eyes, decisively did not see it, and continued to probe around. This stone seems to reveal an evil nature, it's better not to want it. Over time, a lot of changes have taken place around the surroundings, and some stones are even directly exposed to the surface. The three of them found 8 more similar stones around and piled them together. Well, the protective formation has been destroyed. 35. Zhang Chushuan's eyes froze and he swung at the stone statue again. Click. The stone statue cracked open, one to the soles of its feet, but it was still collapsing. Suddenly, a black shadow emerged from the stone statue. The black shadow has 2 horns and no hideous face. At this time, he was screaming in pain, as if he was about to break free from the stone statue, but he was unable to do so. Demons and ghosts. With a cold snort, Zhang Chushuan swung the knife again. The knife intent was pervasive, and the black shadow let out a final scream before disappearing. At the same time, the stone statue in front of him instantly collapsed and turned into a pile of stones. It's that simple. Zhang Chushuan couldn't believe what he saw, but he had his own opinions. Nothing is eternal, let alone a dead thing like the formation. Without the support of energy, sooner or later it will turn into ashes. Zhang Chushuan nodded and was about to move forward, when suddenly his eyes changed. When he looked around again, he found that the two of them had come to a valley. What's going on? Why did the secret realm disappear? Phew, it's okay, I almost froze to death just now. Okay. When a cultivator covered in ice realized his situation, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Some cultivators immediately wailed. Ah, my 6th-rank inner Dan, it's just gone. Don't say it, we just found a medicine garden, just about to go into pick, but suddenly teleported here. Alas. 99. 6,699. Listening to the whispers around him, Zhang Chushuan immediately understood that every monk who entered it would go to different environments and see different scenes. Hee, there is actually an illusion realm, the owner of this secret realm, is it a test of the Comer, or is it cautious to the extreme? No one could answer Zhang Chushuan's question, because the sharp-eyed monk immediately rushed towards the depths of the valley. After the remaining people found out, they followed suit and no longer regretted the loss of Fang Kai. Presumably, this place is where the real treasures are inherited. Zhang Chushuan and Yun Xuanjian looked at each other, and they flew forward, leaving no leaves. Big brother, big uncle, this is. When they walked out of the valley, Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian looked at a pool of blood in front of them, surprised and unusual. This is one of the secret realm inheritances. 65%. Chapter 257. A blood demon pool, descendant of demons. I went first. The voice fell, not waiting for Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian to think too much. With a poof, Lu Tianan had already jumped into the pool of blood. 99. Lu Tianan groaned softly comfortably, and seeing that Lu Tianyan and the two were still in a daze, he couldn't help but scold, "What are you still stunned about? The blood pool is good for my Lu family, and when others enter, they will only be filled with the violent aura in it, and they will explode and die. Although this pool of blood looks very bloody and weird, the eldest brother uncle has done it, Father and son did not doubt that he was there, and they jumped into the pool of blood. It's so comfortable. The moment they entered, the two immediately felt a warm current rushing into the dantian, moisturizing the golden pill and the divine mansion, and then channeling through the meridians, spreading throughout the limbs and hundreds of bones. Then they felt that their strength was improving rapidly, which made people unable to extricate themselves. Looking at the way the two enjoyed it, a sinister smile appeared at the corner of Lu Tianan's mouth. Enjoy, my brother, my good nephew. What's going on with this red pool? It looks like a pool of blood, but it doesn't smell of blood. 35. Or what kind of treasure land? It's possible. I remember that there are many heavenly and earth treasures that can bleed, such as the blood milk produced by the blood milk stone, which can help the cultivators of the transformation spirit realm break through the Jaden. Quote. As the monks went deeper, they also discovered this pool of blood. The monks were shocked and did not dare to enter rashly. However, as more and more people gathered, the blood pool was very surrounded, and finally 340 cultivators couldn't hold back, jumped straight into the blood pool, and shouted, "General Lu, they have long entered, but now they can't see people, they must be in the pool, there must be a lot of benefits." Poof, poof. 5. As the man showed an expression of enjoyment, the monk did not doubt that he was there, and scrambled to enter. Only some people who disliked this pool of blood from their hearts hesitated and did not move. Comfortable. I feel my chi and blood increase. I feel like the blood is getting bigger. This pool of blood can change qualifications. A group of monks made a sound of surprise. Seeing this, many cultivators jumped into the pool of blood with them, and soon showed surprised expressions. After the beginning, all 9 adults jumped into the pool of blood. At this time, something suddenly changed. So hot. I feel my body so bloated. Oops, no. Quote. As time passed, many of the cultivators' bodies in the pool of blood began. But before they could rush out, a blood mist like fireworks suddenly exploded. The blood in the pool of blood exploded the faces of the onlookers, frightening everyone to retreat one after another. The 3 of Zhang Chushuan stood at the back of the crowd watching all this, and their brows couldn't help but wrinkle. This pool of blood is tricky. Zhang Chushuan frowned. At this time, the pool of blood calmed down again, but no one had the courage to enter it again, and they all took a detour. Yun Xuanjian stood in front of the blood pool, with undisguised disgust in his eyes. This blood pool is the blood of the human race. Terran blood pool. Zhang Chushuan was slightly stunned, and immediately reacted. Blood demon pool. 35. The blood demon pool is a place where extraterritorial demons will chemically pure red blood of the Terrans, and after entering, they can increase their strength or assimilate to create their own race. It is clear that those who enter the pool of blood become new nourishment. So, the Lu family is an evil demon. Nangong Mushui reacted quickly and thought of the key at once. The scene where the three of the Lu family successfully passed through the blood pool and faintly increased their strength. Others did not see it, but the three of them happened to see it. Devil, damn it. Answering Nangong Mushui was a palm that Yun Xuanjian casually waved. Boom. The giant palm of the 100 Zhang spiritual energy fell, the blood and water were wiped out, and the entire pool was flattened. After passing through the pool of blood, Yun Xuanjian's face was no longer dull, and there was always a coldness that lingered around him. Zhang Chushuan understood what she was angry about, and explained to Nangong Mushui, who had not yet understood, this is the method of evil cultivation. Once the demons invaded the human race several times, some timid Terran cultivators became traitors, defected to the demon race, turned to the devil's law, and extended their hands to the original compatriots, by devouring flesh and blood to become stronger, even more than fierce beasts. This blood demon pool is one of the ways for demon cultivators to enhance their strength, and it can also be regarded as a demon transformation certificate. That means that the Lu family are all evil demons. Nangong Mushui was shocked. In addition to the royal family, the Lin dynasty is the strongest of the Lu family, and the daughter of the head of the Lu family is still the head of the royal harem, and she is actually an evil devil. Then it is strange that this Lin dynasty's luck can be raised. It's not sure for the time being. Yun Xuanjian collected his emotions and explained coldly, this pool of blood has no effect on them, which means that they have the blood of evil demons flowing in their bodies, and their ancestors must be evil demons. But they don't necessarily know it. This kind of evil demon is not unchangeable, and it can be taken away in an instant by devouring the holy rune. Zhang Chushuan's original plan was to let the Lu family join the Yanwang dynasty and descend to southern Luzhou without bloodshed. It is precisely because he knows this that Yun Xuanjian will explain. The Lu family may not need to be destroyed. Of course, if it shouldn't be, she was the first to strike. She hated it in her heart for destroying the demons that devoured the temple. So it is. It seems that this inheritance has something to do with evil spirits. Nangong Mushui nodded repeatedly. Think about it, if the Lu family is all evil demons, how can they let such a big Lu Nanzhou not do it? Even if they are careful, it is impossible not to show their horses' feet, but for so many years, there has been no rumor of evil demons in Liunan Prefecture. Let's go, find the three of them, and the problem will be solved. Zhang Chushuan didn't say much, and took the two women to speed up. But soon, a steppe corpse appeared, looking like it had been killed by a blow, with a peaceful smile on its face, and the death was very strange. Sure enough, it's an evil devil. Coldness appeared in Yun Xuanjian's eyes. Old man Zhang, you will die today. Ha, Lao Hu, the old man has long wanted to deal with you and settle the grudge between us, and this is just right. Whether you have this ability or not, you will know if you have tried it. 66.99. The sound of fighting was faintly heard ahead. The divine thoughts of the three Zhang Chushuan people were so powerful, they caught it at the first time and immediately rushed forward. Before leaving, I saw that many cultivators who had not fallen in the blood pool were divided into several groups at this time, and all of them were killed without mercy. There were some monks nearby watching from a distance, with serious expressions. Before seeing some of them killed, the nearby onlookers would search the two of them with lightning speed, and then continue to watch the battle. Looting inheritances can also lead to the emergence of new clans. A weird cycle forms. Humph. 39. Yun Xuanjian was very unhappy to see this group of people fighting to the death, but he still casually waved one out and mobilized the power of devouring the holy rune at the same time. In the next moment, a stream of blood-black aura shot out from his body, and it was refined into the void. What's wrong just now? Like crazy, no reason. We have been friends for many years, and we can't kill them. Everyone in the battle stopped one after another and looked at each other blankly. But there were also some smart people who quickly reacted, although they didn't know the devil, but they knew what trick they had been hit, and after apologizing to the original, they looked at Yun Xuanjian and thanked them. Thank you, fairy, for saving your life. If it weren't for the fairy's move, I'm afraid we'd be fierce. Fairy, please accept the old man's worship. Faced with this situation, Yun Xuanjian was very indifferent, and after exchanging a look with Zhang Chushuan, the three of them rushed forward without looking back. Others were a little hesitant for a while, and faintly widened some distance between them and each other. 65%. Chapter 258. This pillar of light can't be deliberately lured, right? Deep in the valley, Lu Tianan and the three stopped in front of a ruined temple. It's finally here. The key to the rise of the Lu family passed down from generation to generation. 35. Lu Tianan's face appeared hot, ignoring the surprised gazes of the two people beside him, and directly bowed down towards the broken temple, got up. When the round of 3 kneels and 9 knocks ended, he saw that the two behind him had not moved, and immediately opened his mouth and said, "Don't kneel yet, get down." The two looked at each other ignorantly, and slowly knelt down out of decades of habitual obedience to Lu Tianan. At this time, Lu Tianan lay on the ground, not knowing whether he was afraid or in awe, and his body trembled and spoke again to the simple and ruined temple. Ancestor, Lu Tianan, the 30th generation descendant of the Lu family. When the words fell, the temple did not move. Lu Tianan was not annoyed, kowtowed heavily to the ground, and even let go of the physical body and spiritual energy defenses, deliberately knocked out Shelley, and said technically, "Please rest assured, Ancestor, I Lu Tianan will do my best to bring the Lu family back to the peak. Please give the law from the ancestors and bless my Lu family." After saying that, Lu Tianan walked towards the broken temple, kowtowed 3 times, and then did not raise his head again. Lu Tianzheng's father and son didn't know why, but they still followed suit. If it weren't for the gold leaf handed down from generation to generation in Lu Tianan's hand, they wouldn't be able to believe the reality of what they saw. Quote. At this time, the space in front of the temple suddenly fluctuated, followed by an old figure slowly appearing, and said, "Lu Tianan, you get up first." 35. Hearing the voice, Lu Tianan suddenly raised his head, and shouted excitedly, "Ancestor." When he saw this inconspicuous ruined temple, he also doubted whether the secrets handed down by his predecessors were real. The inheritance that exists above the Holy Lord level is actually a ruined temple that can be easily destroyed in the gathering spirit realm. Who dares to believe this? But that's what happened. Get up. 35. The old man looked very kind, and after receiving the bowing of Lu Tianan and the 3, he stretched out his hand to help. The 3 of Lu Tianan got up excitedly, and the former said excitedly, "Ancestor, it's really good to see you. I thought the secret passed down from generation to generation by the head of the Lu family was fake." In the second half of the sentence, Lu Tianan was just thinking in his heart. After all, the Lu family has existed for a longer time than the royal Lin family, and it was also the controller of South Luzhou Prefecture City at its weakest, but in the past 1,000 years, it has not risen again. The old man is also waiting for you to come. Looking around, the old man nodded slightly. It's still the same here as back then, nothing has changed, it's just the group of people at that time. Hearing the sad charm in the old man's words, Lu Tianan thought of the words left by his late father, and couldn't help but say, "Ancestor, there are children, we will definitely take back everything back then." Hee, good boy, worthy of my Lu Jarlang. Nodding slightly, the old man looked at Lu Tianzheng's father and son behind him. Now the Lu family, are there only the 3 of you left? 39. No, Ancestor. Hearing this, Lu Tianan briefly explained the fate of the dragon, and then said, "Although the Lu family is no longer what it was then, it is also the 2nd-ranked force in the 6th-ranked dynasty now, and it is still hidden from the outside world. But I believe that with the ancestors everything is fine." 35. The old man is just a residual thought, and in his heyday, he was only close to the saint realm, and he was awakened 3 times in the past 10,000 years, and this trust will not take long to dissipate. Ancestor. Lu Tianan's pupils shrank, and his expression turned pale. No need to be sad, this is destiny. The old man was very calm about death, and said lightly, "Before the old man's residual thoughts dissipate, I can still explain to you the inheritance." Well, the old man doesn't have much time, so there won't be much nonsense. You come in with the old man. 35. The old man retracted his expression and looked at Lu Tianan. Yes, ancestors. Suddenly, Lu Tianan's heart was ecstatic. It seems that he is about to accept the inheritance of his ancestors. This dilapidated temple is obviously a disguise, fearing that other outsiders will pay attention. On the side, Lu Tianzheng and Lu Yuntian's father and son saw this, and their eyes couldn't help but have a trace of jealousy. Why do the 3 of us, the ancestor, only give benefits to the eldest uncle? Lu Tianyan said angrily. Although Lu Tianan is an uncle, his cultivation talent is not as good as Lu Tianzheng, and the position of the head of the family was given up by the latter. This inheritance should have belonged to Lu Tianzheng, and it should also belong to him, Lu Yuntian. Be careful, Gauze. Lu Tianzheng was suddenly startled and hurriedly looked towards the broken temple. The ancestors decided, how can you leave your beak alone? Seeing that there was no reaction in the broken temple in front of him, he breathed a sigh of relief and said solemnly, the decision of the ancestor, how can you question it? Quote. Don't say more. Wait for your uncle to come out later. Naturally, we will benefit from it. At the same time, the furnishings in the broken temple are very simple, a bunch of nameless spiritual tablets, and there is a futon in front of the spiritual tablets. After signaling Lu Tianan to sit down, cross-kneeled on the futon, the old man stared slightly, and his eyes were bright. Good boy, are you willing to abandon everything for the Lu family? 99. Including your wife and children, including all that exists. Lu Tianan was suddenly startled. He can do it and dedicate himself to the Lu family, but why abandon his wife and children? Table of determination. Some doubts flashed in his mind, and Lu Tianan nodded heavily and said, Junior is willing. Okay, close your eyes and relax. The old man also sat down opposite Lu Tianan, as if to reassure Lu Tianan. He continued, this inheritance is somewhat special, and you must let go of your heart in order to have 90% success. Quote. As long as there is a trace of resistance in the heart, the achievements will be undone and can no longer be obtained. 39. You give up now, it's still too late. I'll let the two kids outside try it later, and someone will always succeed. Lu Tianan originally had doubts in his heart, but after hearing the following words, he immediately stopped doubting and hurriedly said, the child is willing, and asked the ancestor to give the law. 0. After saying a word, Lu Tianan obediently closed his eyes. His mind was empty, and he didn't think about it. The old man nodded with satisfaction, stretched out his somewhat illusory right hand, and touched the top of his head. Outside the broken temple, Lu Yuntian's father and son trembled in their hearts as they listened to the screams that came out of it. Among them, Lu Tianyan's figure couldn't help but shake, looked at his father, and his voice trembled a little. Father, this. Accept the inheritance, is it so painful? If you give, you will be rewarded. Although Lu Tianzhong also had some doubts in his heart, he did not show them in front of his own son. The ancestors of the Lu family will never be. A quarter of an hour later, the gate of the broken temple was pushed open, and a figure came out of it. It was Lu Tianan. Big brother, big uncle. Hearing the voice, Lu Tianan smiled slightly and said, I have accepted the ancestral inheritance, and from today onwards, the Lu family will reach the peak. 0. When Lu Tianzhong heard this, he subconsciously glanced at Lu Tianan, but suddenly lowered his head and was shocked in his heart. He seemed to feel that this brother's eyes were a little different. In addition to the original fierceness, there is more of a trace of a long-term atmosphere, unlike all in today's era. You guys did a great job. At this time, Lu Tianan's voice came again. It should have been passed on to your ancestors now, but there are some flies outside that need to be solved. Big brother, ancestor he. Lu Tianzhong couldn't suppress the doubts in his heart, and tentatively spoke. Hearing this, Lu Tianan glanced back and said softly, the ancestor was originally a residual thought, and after handing over the inheritance, it dissipated. In the broken temple, there was no trace, but where Lu Tianan was originally sitting, there was a pool of black blood, emitting a foul smell. Yes, congratulations to the ancestors. When Lu Tianzhong's father and son heard this, they hurriedly bowed to the broken temple again, and only then got up. Big brother, now is it time to clean up those flies. But the inheritance within this secret realm has already been obtained by the eldest brother, and there is no need to stay, it is better to. Who said that this inheritance has been taken away? Lu Tianan's face suddenly showed a cold face, and his expression was cold. It seems that it's time to tell you everything. At the same time, in front of a lake, it is full of greenery, and from time to time fish jump out of the water, as if it is a paradise. The lake is so large that you can't see the other side even as far as the eye can see. Similarly, nothing of value is seen. No, there is such a little thing in this secret realm. Except for some elixirs, there seems to be no other inheritance. But what happened to that pillar of light before? It's so strange that it can't be deliberately attracted to us, right? Some people sighed, others joked. Zhang Chushuan's eyes froze. Congratulations, you probably got it right. River. 65%. Chapter 259 Master-Servant Contract. True Heritage Weapons. Look around, maybe you can find something valuable, we don't have to fight for it. For this secret place that seemed to be huge but had a barren harvest, a group of cultivators were speechless, but they were still unwilling to accept their fate and quickly scattered. One of them found the ruined temple. For this kind of place that seemed impossible to gain, these people did not care, the mind swept casually, and they were ready to leave without even intending to enter. But before they could act, they felt a huge heaviness hit, and their eyes were dark, and the whole person completely lost consciousness and fainted to the ground. At the same time, Zhang Chushuan and the three also came to the lake's edge, not rushing to find something around the lake like other monks. Do you feel it? Nangong Mushui spoke out coldly, which made Yun Xuanxian slightly surprised. Zhang Chushuan nodded, a coldness flashed in his eyes, and said with a smile, the owner here seems to have awakened and is coming towards us. Evil is evil, Yun Zan said with a frosty face. 340. 3 people stood here just waiting. In less than a moment of incense, Zhang Chushuan's words were confirmed. Along the lake, Lu Tianan took Lu Tianzheng's father and son to the front of this lake. Walk straight up to Zhang Chushuan. Unexpectedly, Lu Tianan did not show any emotion on his face. You are Zhang Chushuan, the lord of the Yanwang dynasty. Lu Tianan narrowed his eyes and asked, with scrutiny in his eyes. It's me. Zhang Chushuan squinted slightly, but smiled. What do you want? 5. Divine Mansion Realm. Give me death. No one could have imagined that Lu Tianan would suddenly break out and directly kill someone. The 5 fingers of his left hand were slightly bent into claws, and this heaven and earth formed a 10-jong big hand towards Zhang Chushuan, and also imprisoned the space. Ha! Zhang Chushuan's face remained unchanged and he threw a punch. Bang! The two clashed head-on. With a loud bang, the surrounding earth cracked and the lake stopped. There were many monks nearby, who heard the noise and gathered to check. It was the Lu family master who made a move. Did he finally make a move? Who the hell is that person? But speaking of which, this person that General Lu dealt with is also our lifesaver, so don't we help? Face. How can I help? You know the strength and power of the Lu family lord. We are not opponents together. If we make a move, it will offend General Lu, and I don't want to gain a foothold in Liunan City in the future. But just looking at the lifesaver. Some people still have a conscience, and they have been saved by Yun Zan before, so they think that Zhang Chushuan is also a lifesaver. But the situation in front of him has a feeling of a fairy fight, and these mortals can't intervene at all. Junior, it's kind of interesting. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan could block his claws unharmed, Lu Tianan laughed out loud. Its claw seems simple, and its momentum is also large, without that vision of hundreds of feet, but it is a product of compression, and even space will be temporarily imprisoned, which is a powerful means. Facing this move, the ordinary divine mansion realm is just a dead word. Old monsters who don't know how long they live, don't come out to harm people again. After Zhang Chushuan stabilized his figure, he did not retreat and advanced, and a palm blasted out, directly taking the first level of Lu Tianan. Slightly tilting his head to avoid this one, the sinister smile on Lu Tianan's face became even thicker. Ants. 99. Prick. 35. While Zhang Chushuan was not prepared, Lu Tianan clawed again, but he couldn't even touch the corner of Zhang Chushuan's clothes. After a few exchanges, Lu Tianan's face became gloomy. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan smiled contemptuously. It seems that you have been provoked by me. Humph. The price of provoking the old man is death. Like a shadow, Lu Tianan flew towards Zhang Chushuan, and a whistling sound sounded behind him, which showed how fast he was. But at this moment, he felt that the surrounding environment was dark, and God made his thoughts dissipate invisibly. He subconsciously looked up, but saw 100 Zhang covering the sky palm gathered at some time, quickly, falling towards him to suppress it. Boom. 35. He tried to dodge, but an extremely strong devouring force caused him to be completely unable to mobilize his body, and he could only watch the ability giant hand fall. It's devouring. Lu Tianan only said 3 words before he died, and a look of horror and relief flashed in his eyes. When the energy hand disappeared, Lu Tianan had already been blasted into minced meat by this palm. You're the ant. Yun Xuanxian pouted disdainfully. Although her strength is not as strong as it was back then, it is indeed a lot to deal with an old guy who has just been taken away under the condition of using the devouring saint rune. Shish. Seeing Lu Tianan being slapped with rice, Lu Tianzheng's heart beat sharply, and he immediately wanted to escape. After Lu Tianan accepted the ancestral inheritance, he was no longer an opponent at all. But now, Yun Xuanjian directly killed Lu Tianan with one palm. Then killing him is obviously something that can be done casually. But when he mobilized the aura, he found that the soul power and aura in the divine palace in his body were taken away in an instant, and his body was also imprisoned by some kind of force, and he couldn't move at all. What kind of means is this? 35. Lu Tian was looking towards Yun Xuanjian, but saw that the other party raised his hand and turned Lu Yuntian. Lu Yuntian had long been frightened and stayed motionless. If this palm is slapped down, this person will die. Stop. Lu Tianzheng's eyes cracked, and he hurriedly shouted, I am willing to pay any price, please don't hurt my son's life. 99. For this, of course, Yun Xuanjian will not agree, and continue to move 0. Boom. The big hands of Reiki converged again. Lu Tianzheng's heart was pounding, but thinking that he only had such a son, he spoke again, and asked Taoist friends to spare the dog's life, I can agree to anything. Oh, Yun Xuanjian stopped and looked at Zhang Chushuan, who touched his chin and pointed out a finger casually. The next moment, a white jade shot out of his hand and came to Lu Tian's front. Then accept the master-servant contract. Hearing this, Lu Tianzheng couldn't help but shiver. The master-servant contract is very domineering, directly binding the soul. If he signs it, it will be no different from becoming a slave of Zhang Chushuan in the future. But thinking of the strength displayed by Yun Xuanjian, did he have the qualifications to refuse? Thinking of this, he had to cooperate. The next moment, a white jade flew into his divine mansion, and the one imprinted on Yuanyu was the one. There was an extra mark in the soul, but it quickly dissipated and disappeared. No matter how he searched, he couldn't find it. Smiling bitterly, Lu Tianzheng knew that his old life was completely in the hands of the other party, so he opened his mouth and said, I don't know what the fairy ordered. Do you know my identity? 35. Although I don't know who the fairy is, I do know that the Taoist friend just now is Zhang Chushuan, the prince of the Yanwang dynasty. From now on, you will obey Zhang Chushuan. If you have a different heart, your soul will be destroyed. At this time, Lu Tianan's face was like ashes, but in order to save the lives of their father and son, they could only nod and agree, follow the fairy's orders. 55. What happened here was only a dozen breaths. Before many onlookers could figure it out, they saw Lu Tian bowing down to the fairy. 4.4. At this moment, some cultivators couldn't sit still, and they wanted to show their loyalty to the fairy, but thinking of her fierce means just now, they only cowered. After doing all this, Yun Xuanjian only left Lu Tian waiting in place, and then jumped into the lake. Lu Tianzheng only came to his senses at this time, did not look at his useless son, faced all the cultivators, and said coldly, quickly leave this place, otherwise, you will be an enemy of my Lu family. This is to vent the qi collected on the side of Zhang Chushuan and the three. The monk dared to be angry and did not dare to speak, but for the sake of his family and future development, he could only leave. At the same time, the lake water. The three of Zhang Chushuan dived down for a quarter of an hour. Yun Xuanjian suddenly said, there seems to be something in this lake. Quote. See the change. The corners of Zhang Chushuan's mouth were slightly upturned. The three of them accelerated their sinking speed, and soon came to the bottom of the lake and saw a special jade platform. On the jade platform, a snow-white longsword was inserted. This is Broken Hallows. 65%. Chapter 260 Union Sword Venerable, Ancient Holy Sword, Eat Nanlujo subscription. The long sword seems to be between the virtual and the real, like a cloud, faint and faint. The sword body has a smooth line, although it sinks to the bottom of the lake and does not know the years, but the blade still has a piercing cold light. The sword aura on the sword is dull, but if it is released, I am afraid that even the strong of the divine mansion realm will be killed by a sword. Ding, ding, ding. The snow-white sword seemed to have a true spirit, and after the three Zhang Chushuan approached, the sword body began to tremble. Immediately after, this sword seemed to come to life and took the initiative to fly into Yun Xuanjian's hand. This, Yun Xuanjian couldn't help but be stunned. She just accompanied Zhang Chushuan, but she didn't think about snatching opportunities with Zhang Chushuan and the like. Zhang, quote, you keep this sword, it is very suitable for you. Yun Xuanjian was about to speak, but Zhang Chushuan spoke first and said, you have been sleeping for 30,000 years, so you don't know the origin of this sword. This is the Union Sword, a rare attributellus, once only one step away from the quasi-emperor weapon. It is a generation of great sage Union Sword Venerable refined the original life sword weapon. This Union Sword Venerable is also a woman, who created her own Union Sword method, and has made great achievements in space swords, and it is said that the inheritance is also in the natal sword weapon. 35. This Union Sword method is in the same line as a woman. You can know one or two if you see it actively chooses, and it is the way of space. You have the help of devouring holy runes, just develop the right aspect, and increase the means of attack. 99. 04, and I use a knife. Zhang Chushuan said very dashingly, and Yun Xuanjian gave him a serious look and nodded obediently. Zhang Chushuan was even willing to send her the devouring saint rune, and a broken great saint sword weapon was naturally not a problem. But she still felt the feeling. Okay, let's go. Zhang Chushuan smiled slightly and flew towards the lake first. Union sword. There is indeed a fate. Yun Xuanxian held the long sword, and the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Hey, the divine thought moved slightly, and the union sword was warmed up by the Yun Zanchu swallowing Saint Rune space, and then flew towards the lake. The three of them quickly returned to the lake, but found that the surroundings were empty, leaving only Lu Tianzhong and his son. Zhang Chushuan thought slightly, and then understood what was going on. I've seen Patriarch Zhang. After seeing Zhang Chushuan, Lu Tianzhong immediately lowered his posture and groveled. I don't know what the Zhang family master ordered. For the big forces, it is the same as looking at the rank strength of the Zhang family itself, so it is absolutely correct to call Zhang Chushuan the head of the family, or respect. Lu Tianzhong knew that he was still valuable if he didn't die. Now he also understood that Lu Tianan, who had obtained the inheritance of his ancestors, was not the enemy of a woman beside Zhang Chushuan. He Lu family played with a hammer. Can you control the Lu family? Zhang Chushuan asked straight to the point. Yes, Lu Tianzhong's eyes flashed, and he nodded solemnly. The time has come for him to embody his values. Big brother, I will take the Lu family to the right path to rise. Lu Tianzhong thought in his heart, lowered his head, and asked, what is the prince's order? 99. Addressing himself as Lord Prince clarifies his own dynasty and vows to join the Yanwang dynasty. Very up to date. Zhang Chushuan's eyes flashed with satisfaction. He doesn't care about the character of his subordinates, anyway, as long as he becomes his subordinate, he can't escape his control. As long as Lu Tianzhong officially ascends the throne and then announces that Nanluzhou will join the Yanwang dynasty, he can be invincible here. As for the fact that the ancestor was a blood demon, it was nothing in front of the devouring rune. Relax. Zhang Chushuan patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile. Don't be so nervous, in the future, we will be our own people. Yes, your lord, father. At this time, Lu Yuntian suddenly said angrily, this is our Lu family's enemy, how can you? There is a bloody man. It's a pity that there is no brain. Shut up. Who knew that Lu Tianzhong directly reflexively slapped him and said, from now on, with the orders of the prince as the mainstay, we will do whatever he wants us to do. Although Lu Yuntian, who was blinded, still didn't understand what was going on, he also lowered his head and said in a low voice, yes. Very aggrieved, and some affection. Zhang Chushuan didn't care, as long as he didn't touch the point of his anger, he could tolerate it when Lu Tianzhong's value was greater than the threat. And the threat is 0. Therefore, if the Lu family does not die, the future is really bright. Inuko is not sensible, and I hope that the prince is strange. 99. Lu Tianzhong put on a smiling face again. It's okay, I still have this bit of energy. Zhang Chushuan waved his hand casually. After giving a token, after instructing Lu Tianzhong to control the Lu family as soon as possible and pass the order to him as soon as possible, Zhang Chushuan turned around and took the two daughters. After not seeing the other party's figure, Lu Yuntian looked aggrieved. Dad, why are you? Shut up, I'm for the Lu family. 99. For the Yanwang dynasty, I am inclined to defect. 35. Not to mention that this Lin dynasty is thinning the West Mountain, it used to suppress my Lu family, otherwise how could our former Sipin family only have this state land? Lu Tianan wants to replace the Lin dynasty, plus his daughter made Na Lin a concubine before he insisted on doing his own thing, and now we just have the right to take it back. 9. To put it bluntly, I still blame her for provoking people who shouldn't be provoked. But the news of the uncle's death. This is easy. Lu Tianzhong thought seriously and said, let's just say that in order not to let the ancestors who were contaminated by evil demons take the house, he died with the ancestors, and before leaving, he gave his last words and asked us to take charge of the Lu family. For Lu Tianan's death, Lu Tianzhong is still happy. If Lu Tianan hadn't married his daughter to Lin Dongyan, the two sides had established a relationship, and the position of the head of the family should have belonged to him. Now Zhang Chushuan helped him get it back, and he is still somewhat grateful. And that ancestor, Zhang Chushuan said that he realized that Lu Tianan had been taken away. Apparently the ancestral inheritance was not only a problem or a trick. However, for the sake of family face, it is better to put the responsibility on the evil devil. What Lu Tianzhong didn't know was that he was just beating up his shirk responsibility. On the way back, the three Zhang Chushuan did not rush to the road. Zhang Chushuan took a look at the Union sword, but he was actually preparing to increase 100-fold. But this time, there is only one number of options, and they are all Union sword, Saint Lord level broken. It seems that there is a bigger secret hidden on this union sword, let it go first. Zhang Chushuan did not rush to reward 100-fold. Anyway, the sword is 343 in Yun Xuanjian's hand, and it will not be lost. Returning the union sword, Zhang Chushuan looked at Yun Xuanjian. Next, let's go to the next place. 35. Yun Zan nodded obediently. It doesn't matter where she goes, she just wants to see the Dongshuan domain in 30,000 years. After Lu Tianzhong returned to Lu's house, he launched a series of bloody massacres and suppressions. After putting the originally arranged forces directly on the surface, and then suppressing the original Lu Tianan's wife and his children, the voice of opposition to Lu Tianzhong in the clan gradually subsided. Feeling the respectful eyes of the whole clan, Lu Tianzhong enjoyed it very much, enjoying the benefits brought by the rites. And after the three of Chuzan left the secret place, they stayed in the original village for one night, as if nothing had happened. They asked the villagers about some more things, but they all said that they did not remember, but they only remembered that there was a mother and son, who seemed to have gone crazy and left the village and disappeared. After Zhang Chushuan learned all this, he didn't say much and left with Yun Xuanjian. What's next? Looking at the map in his hand, Zhang Chushuan fell into deep thought. After thinking about it, he still made a decision. Next, let's go to the royal city of the Lin dynasty. 55. 35. In the next period of time, the three of them traveled around the mountains and rivers, crossing the territory of the Lin dynasty with their own strength. On this day, they came to a city called Nanyan City, stopping for a while, ready to rest. While resting in a restaurant, they heard an interesting conversation. Hey, have you heard? Something big happened to the Yun family recently. Something big happened to the Yun family recently. Something big happened to the